Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats Scoresworthy and Brian Davis.
Welcome into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you on this Thursday afternoon. We're Sports Time. We're with you for the next 3 hours and plenty to get into as it's Thursday, which means we've got Thursday night football tonight. I'm rocking my Micah Parsons Cowboys jersey in anticipation for the Cowboys traveling up to New York to face the Giants. We've got some college football tonight. We've got Major League Baseball. A lot going on today that we need to discuss. Brett, how are you this afternoon?
I'm doing great, Brian. I feel terrible that I didn't wear my Cliff Harris jersey.
Yeah, where is it?
I just forgot to wear it today. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Well, hey, we'll work on it for next time. You know, next time the Cowboys are in a Monday night football or Thursday night football game, we'll have you in it. How about that?
Pride of Ouachita Baptist, Cliff Harris.
Oh, you know I love some Ouachita Baptist. Top 25 team right now, I believe.
I think they are. I know undefeated.
Yeah, undefeated. Good team over at Ouachita. But
and Arkadelphia,
right across the street from Henderson State. I'm more of a Henderson State guy, if I'm being completely honest. But
you know what they call that game?
The Battle of the Ravine.
And
I don't know.
The Little Iron Bowl.
Is that right? I did not know that.
But it is the first and foremost, the Battle of the Ravine.
Yeah.
Good friend of mine, Rex Nelson, his longtime voice of the OBU Tigers.
Oh, wow.
And he grew up in Arkadelphia, went to Arkadelphia High School, and then went to college at OBU and distinguished himself in politics and in journalism.
Wow.
And he I believe him. I know it to be the truth. He said he wouldn't want to be anywhere on a Saturday afternoon other than calling his beloved OBU Tigers. I promise
awesome.
you, if somebody stepped in and said, you can do the Michigan Wolverines, he wouldn't do it.
That's great. Well, I'll tell you this.
I love that about him.
That is awesome, that loyalty. But I'll tell you this, and you know, I'm sure it's changed a little bit, but last time I drove through there, that press box they have at Ouachita Baptist is beautiful. I mean,
they got to do at that school, and they do at Henderson State. Well,
Sure.
Henderson State now actually operates under the aegis of Arkansas State University, which is really good for them and for Arkansas State. Yeah.
Interesting. Well, Brett, I did not know that we were going to kick off the
I didn't
Thursday
either.
show talking
We never
Ouachita
know.
Baptist. That's great. But
proof it's live because
yes.
I don't think we would have ever done this to record.
No, absolutely not. But definitely a lot of good things going on in the world of sports. We also
ready for the weekend.
I mean, the weekend's going to be fantastic, and it starts tonight with the NFL. We also have a college football game, an American college football game tonight.
With Matt
between
Berry
Army
calling the game.
That's right. Army and Temple goes tonight. That live line, I believe, is at 12.5.
Love Matt
maybe
Berry.
13 in favor of Army. Yeah, he's really, really good.
You cut him open in college football runs out.
It absolutely does. It absolutely does. But it will be a good little appetizer tonight with all the football to get us into tomorrow night and then really the main course on Saturday and Sunday.
It will, and I don't want to try to portray myself as a big lifelong Oakland A fan because I haven't been, but I did like them in the 70s. I tell you, one of the weird, odd reasons that I did is because in their great run in the 70s, winning it all in 72, 73, 74, going for when they had the three-peat, at that time, Charlie O'Finley was their owner, and he owned the Memphis Tams. Almost simultaneous to that run, he bought the Tams, rebranded it from the Memphis Pros, and changed everything to look like the Oakland A's. Even encourages his players to have facial hair and to, it's something extra be in your check if you had a beard or a mustache. It didn't take everybody on the team long to have a beard or a mustache. And Johnny Newman was on that team. Then and Larry Finch later, and Ronnie Robinson later. And so kept up with the A's and really liked the A's. And I think I was for the A's in those three World Series. Well, I know it was in 72 because I detested the Big Red Machine because they were so good. That's why. They were just so good. I mean, they were the evil empire. And then in 73, I was for them. Not as much because I love the Mets uniforms. I love that orange NY on their hats, and I liked Willie Mays, and that was his last year. But I was for the A's, more or less. And then in 74, I definitely was for the A's over the Dodgers. But it ends today there.
Yeah, it does.
Maybe the most mistreated sports fan ever is the east side of the Bay, Oakland sports fan, with what has been done to them, really, with what the Warriors did.
Yeah. Moving
to downtown San Francisco, and what the Raiders have done to them a couple of times, and now the A's are finishing them in professional sports off there.
Yeah, no, they absolutely are. It's been quite the scene watching the last couple of days, and seeing some videos of inside the stadium of everything that's going on with that fan base. That, as they should be, very frustrated of what's going on there, and have been very frustrated with what's been happening with the Oakland A's. But yeah, the day to say goodbye for the Oakland A's in Oakland. It's kind of wild to even talk about.
Do you have a favorite Oakland A of all time?
Coco Crisp. How about that?
Okay.
Oh, Coco.
Okay. I think a lot of people would say Ricky Henderson.
That's a good one.
Mine, and I think the best, is Reginald Martinez Jackson, Mr. October, Reggie Jackson. But it would be up for debate. You would have people say, I think there would be fondness for Mark McGuire and Jose Canseco and those Tony La Russa Oakland A's teams that only won it once and really were a dominant club, but only got the 89 Earthquake World Series over the Giants, and then were swept by the Reds in 90 in a real sports stunner, not only for the Reds to win, but to win it 4-0. But those Oakland A's teams from the early 70s, Dave Duncan was the primary catcher for those, but he was real light hitting. And it was just a feel of the manager put in Gene Tennis to catch in the 72 World Series, and ended up being one of the more anonymous, no-name guys ever to be MVP of the World Series. He hit everything thrown at him. Our friend John Varla says Brent Rooker.
That's a great one.
That is a great one. And he also mentions Herb Washington, and Herb Washington was famous for being, it's a great catch by John Varlas. Herb Washington, Charlie O'Finley, was such a mad scientist, really try anything. Once proposed an orange baseball for nighttime games.
Wow.
He was big proponent of the DH, let his players dress however they wanted to and look however they wanted to. He was not the old traditionalist by any means. And John mentions Herb Washington signed to be a designated runner.
Really? Mm-hmm. That's incredible.
He was that fast, and they would try to get him on, to get an extra bag. But the names were famous. Ray Fosse was there with the A's after Pete Rose ran him over and wrecked his shoulder.
Yeah.
He was with Cleveland then he ended up with the A's and ended up beloved announcer with the A's. But Sal Bando and Joe Rudy and Catfish Hunter, Raleigh Fingers, Mike Andrews, all those names. Silent George Hendrick was even with them before he got to the Cardinals. It was a lot of names. Maybe a Memphis first. At the Sissy's Log Cabin text line, 901-360-8255. Do you have a favorite Oakland A ever?
How about that?
Because this is it for them today. This is it for at home.
Sure.
They wrap it up in Oakland. And then there'll be the nameless A's, homeless A's for a couple of years through the 27 season, 25, 26, 27. We know they're going to be in Sacramento. Have they turned a shovel of dirt in Vegas yet?
I don't think so. We were talking about that a little bit before the show. If they have, they've been doing it in silence because I haven't seen anything or heard anything. But, you would like for them to start kind of getting moving if we want to play baseball in Las Vegas.
We got to ask Bruce about this more. I don't know if it's really through all the legislative funding hurdles there.
Yeah.
It could be, and I think Sacramento wants to put on a really good show and say, you're home.
Yeah, and I think, that was probably part of the reason that they kind of stepped up and said, hey, come play here. We'll house you for a couple of years, is because there are a lot of cities around the country that are trying to show, hey, we can be an MLB home, and obviously Sacramento is already the home of a AAA team. And so, I think you're going to see a lot of maybe, does Las Vegas really want this? They're already in Sacramento. What do we do here?
Yeah, and like us here, an NBA, a major league team, but a AAA team, that Sacramento. San Antonio, major league with the NBA. San Antonio's AA, aren't they?
I believe so, yes. I believe they're AA. That's right.
Not many of those. Charlotte has NBA and NFL and minor league baseball, but it's not many with just one. and the other being minor league baseball. But today wraps it up in Oakland. They're going to carry off all the signage. They'll carry off everything.
Yeah, they're going to take everything with them. And I saw last night more videos coming out. I heard one report of a man left the game with a chair and was being chased by like 5 or 6 cops that were trying to get a hold of him and stop him from stealing the chairs. And then I guess there is, and I believe they're in the same league that the 901 FC is in, but Oakland has a professional soccer team that I guess they're going to start playing.
Yeah, that's right. They do, yeah.
Yes. They're going to be playing their home games at the Coliseum starting next year, and they put out a quick tweet last night saying, if everyone would please leave all the seats, because we hope to have fans next year, and they have to have somewhere to sit. But yes, I think once this game goes final today, they're in the top of the third right now. I think, a lot of chaos from that fan base.
Can you imagine that mausoleum at soccer?
Oh man, when I saw that, I was honestly, Brett, and this is no disrespect to soccer or the team or anything. I was shocked when I heard that they were playing in the Coliseum next year because
yeah, me too. That was breaking news.
That's a big stadium, and we're not talking MLS. We're talking a league below that, and I just feel like it might not draw that well.
And today, the Memphis Tigers completed releasing the AAC schedule, or the AAC, American Athletic Conference, released the schedule. All the dates are known, times and networks soon to follow. So now we know every single Tiger date from start to finish, from the exhibition games, the 2 in October, to opening night, November 4th against Mizzou. Did we ever find out if there's ever been how far back did you go on SEC on opening night for the Tigers? You went back a ways, didn't you?
I went back a really long ways. I think as far as it goes back on the
You said A&M,
website,
but they weren't in the league at the time.
That's right. I think I went
into the 60s.
Mm-hmm. I certainly went at least to the 60s. I think the website ends 5960, so I'd say I probably went. Yes, I probably went back that far.
That's about when I began. That's probably a good time to end.
Yeah. Well. I think if I remember correctly, I went back the entire time and I believe this is the first time Memphis will be hosting an SEC team on opening night. So
I think it's the biggest opening night opponent. 1 year in the Metro, I got to check this. I want to think maybe 1 year in the Metro. Did the Tigers open with Louisville or open just with a Metro Conference game?
That'd be incredible if they opened with Louisville. That would certainly.
And you got home opener and you got the opener. And this year will be the opener. It'll be home and the start. I know to open the Pyramid was against DePaul.
Yeah, that's right.
In the fall of '91, and that was big. And DePaul was a lot more relevant then than they are now. But it was waning. We had no idea what the next 33 years would do to them.
Oh, absolutely. And so now I'm going through here again. Yeah, I must have gone all the way because I now see Texas A&M at home December 1st. To start the 64-65 season. Obviously, Texas A&M was not in the SEC then, but other than that, I mean, looking at a lot of these opponents, nothing even comes close to hosting Missouri to start the season.
Well, that's who the Tigers open with, Tigers versus Tigers on that first Monday night of the year, and that's getting here quick.
Getting here real quick. I mean, we had first day of practice yesterday or the day before. My days are running together at this point. So yeah, right around the corner. I mean, you talk about, and a lot of people have been talking about the exhibition games. I mean, Brett, next Tuesday is October 1st. That first exhibition against North Carolina is on October 15th. It's going to be here before we can even think about it. And so
next Wednesday we get out the great books.
Man, which is even more crazy.
Which is always a great way to get new names assigned to us at the text line.
That's right. Yes. It's crazy to even think about September being over. But yeah, I mean, basketball's almost here, and
wake me up when September ends.
That's right. Yeah. So, but it does feel good now that you can go down and start at November 4th with the first game of the season and see all the way down until March 7th with the final game of the season.
Baseball sorting itself out, isn't it?
Oh, it absolutely is. And, we'll talk some baseball a little bit later, get more into it a little bit later. But a lot of day games today, being a Thursday. But we've really talked all week about these teams, especially in the AL, that need to do some winning and to solidify their spots. Both the Royals and the Tigers already winners.
Sounds so
today.
easy, though. Just go
just go win. You're in the professionals. Just go win.
NCAA tournament, win in advance.
Exactly.
You want to be in the college football playoff, win your ball games.
Exactly. But Royals, they got a 7-4 win over the Nationals. The Tigers, a 4-3 win. They won that late with a sac fly over the Rays.
And they're winning every way you can win. They can win blowout. They can win narrow. They can win a 8-7. They can win a 3-2.
Yep.
Look out for them.
No, they're playing really well. And so now their magic number, both of them, is 2. So we'll see. The Mariners are off today. They will host the Athletics for their weekend series starting tomorrow. The Twins, they will play the Marlins tonight, and then they'll turn around tomorrow and will play. I don't know who they play, actually. That's the one team I don't know who the Minnesota Twins in the season with, Baltimore Orioles. So that's going to be pretty tough for them.
Well, they got hope. Orioles are in quasi shutdown mode.
Sure, and we
set
talked
the pitching, get everybody healthy.
Exactly. We talked yesterday about them clinching the night before against the Yankees, and so that's a good point. How does Baltimore come out for these last 3 games of the season? Obviously, the Twins are going to come out needing wins, and we'll see if Baltimore does the same, or if they say, you know what, we've already got this locked up. Let's just go out there, have fun, and get ready for the playoffs.
We'll get back into more baseball, but Dodgers looks like they have the West. They still have work to keep the 1 over Greg Gaston's Fields.
Yeah, no, you're definitely right, and that's going to be a fun kind of race to watch and follow over these next 3 or 4 days.
We hadn't been cheated as Cardinal fans. We haven't.
No.
We've had a lot of fun, a lot of success.
Definitely.
But I really do. I'm ready for that feeling again. But for people, fans of teams that are in the mix, like Greg and the Phillies, man, you just can't wait till the next day's game.
Oh, absolutely. We're to that point of the year where it's all right. What happens tomorrow?
You're consuming everything, and every game's just a grind, win or die feeling,
right.
And that's what I want the Cardinals to get back to soon. And I just love that. I love it for people that got their teams in it.
Absolutely. So it's been a lot of fun. We'll talk more baseball later in the show, but let me set up today's show before we get to top and not top story of the day. 3:30, Bill Bender from the Sporting News. He'll join us to talk some college football. We'll talk about some of the games from last week and start previewing this weekend's slate of games, including the big one that we talked a lot about yesterday. Pat Smith joined us to talk about it yesterday. Alabama and Georgia. We'll get his thoughts on that big game Saturday night. 3:45, we'll talk some baseball. Obviously, we just talked a little bit about it, but we'll get more into it, what we expect to see with these weekend series. 4 o'clock, Keith Smith from Spot Track and the Front Office Show will join us to talk the NBA as we're getting closer and closer to preseason action, and then the regular season will be here before we know it. But a lot to get into with him, especially the news this morning that Derrick Rose will retire from basketball. He announced that earlier on social media. Also took out some pages in local newspapers, including Memphis and some of the other spots he played in, just kind of thanking the fans and thanking basketball. So we'll talk a lot of NBA with Keith Smith. 4:30, we'll talk some college football. We'll take a look at the odds for this weekend and some of those big games around the country. 4:45, we'll get to big number of the day. 5 o'clock, Greg Gaston will join us to talk some Tigers, and a lot to talk about with Greg. Obviously, the loss last week to Navy, he was up there for that one. We got to talk about this weekend's game against Middle Tennessee, Tigers basketball schedule drop, and also Ed Scott is meeting with media in about 15
Greg's
minutes.
there.
He's there, so we'll get, basically right after that, we'll hear what Greg Gaston has to say about what he heard from Ed Scott. So a lot to get to with Greg at 5 o'clock. 5:30, we'll get to what's trending, and at 5:45, we'll wrap up today's show like we always do with Crunch Time. Let me remind you, we're in our Family Leisure Studios where family and fun come together. Get over there for the world's biggest spa sale going on right now at Family Leisure. Save thousands on in-stock hot tubs ready for delivery. Spas starting at $28.99. Cold plunges starting at $39.99. Swim spas at $17,499. And special financing, it's available. Don't forget about the huge discounts on all in-stock above-ground pools too, and all patio furniture. It's priced to move. So head over to Family Leisure, 2120 Whitten Road, just north of I-40.
Bryant and Brett with you, and we're Sports Time until 6 o'clock. And we want you to be a part of our show by texting or calling 901-360-8255. That's the Sissy's Log Cabin text and talk line. All our guests will appear on that same number at 901-360-8255 on the Sissy's Log Cabin guest line. We're always in our Family Leisure studios, and always this first hour brought to you by the good people at Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and online at lexusofmemphis.com. Great offers on all the 2024 models and the new 2025s that are starting to arrive, and special leasing options always. Call them at 901-334-9673, but they want you to stop by the one and only Lexus dealership in town at 2600 Ridgeway and put yourself in the driver's seat of the all-new 2024 flagship LS500 or the 25, and you'll be driving in style, driving luxury and confidence, knowing that every new Lexus comes with complimentary first and second maintenance services. When you purchase a Lexus, you get top-of-the-line engineering and design they make for the luxury driving experience. Online at lexusofmemphis.com. Experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis.
Top story of the day.
Well, Brett, my top story of the day has got to be Thursday night football tonight between the Cowboys and the Giants. And obviously, for me, I'm viewing it more on the side of the Cowboys. After what's happened these last 2 weeks in back-to-back losses against the Saints and the Ravens, Cowboys need answers. They need to show life out there in this game against the Giants. It's going to be on the road. That doesn't make it easy, especially in the NFL. The Giants coming off a big win, so they certainly feel good about themselves. But for the Cowboys, I think it's all going to start with how the defense looks tonight. Everyone's been talking about that. That has been the center of attention, really, for the last 2 weeks, ever since what Alvin Kamara did. I think some people wanted to say, yeah, maybe it was a fluke game. Maybe they were just not ready for Alvin Kamara and the run game. But there were a lot of people saying, this could mean bigger issues. And then you saw that last week against the Ravens, where the Ravens pretty much did everything they wanted to do on the ground. And now if you look at advanced analytics and advanced rankings, the Cowboys rank pretty much dead last, towards the bottom in every defensive rushing category that there is. They just have not been good against the run. So what will they do now against the Giants? I don't think you're scared. I mean, heck, you talk about some of those runners the past 2 weeks. You've got Alvin Kamara with the Saints, and then
they're not facing that tonight.
No. Then last week you saw Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry. Now tonight, I don't think you will have that fear when you go up against the run game for the Giants led by Singletary. So I think they'll be better. Right now, I believe a 6-point favorite tonight against the Giants. So I think they get the win, but I think there's going to be a lot of people looking at this defense, watching this offense, because I think a lot of people now, and it's still very early in the season, so it feels weird saying this, way more questions about the Cowboys than there are answers, and I think some people are looking for answers tonight against the Giants.
How many weeks do the Cowboys go into a game with the better running back?
Very rarely, if not zero.
Yeah, it's just not, and the Cowboys really struggling. My top story, it could be Mike McCarthy's last stand. Lose in New York City, and he may not have to worry about the Steelers a week from Sunday night. Opening day at Cleveland feels like months ago. Jerry Jones, he's had about 19 media availability since. Dak, 4 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 851 yardage. The Cowboys don't have a single running back for the year over 100 yards. For the year, they don't have a running back over 100 yards. Daniel Jones, 4 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 600 yards. Jerry Jones with more interviews this week than the Maras or the Tisches have given than they give in their entire ownership tenure.
Oh, you're right about that. He's an owner that loves to talk, that's for sure.
Not top story of the day.
Well, my not top story of the day, Brett mentioned it a couple minutes ago, but the American Athletic Conference released conference schedules for both men's and women's basketball earlier today. And so now for Penny Hardaway's team, we know the full schedule from start to finish with the information we knew. We knew who in conference they'd have home and homes with. We knew who they'd play at home only, away only. We just did not know the dates and how they would fall. But now we know they'll start conference play on January 2nd on the road against FAU. They will end it at home against USF. Before that, they'll be in 2 road games at UAB, at UTSA, March 2nd and March 4th, before that final game of the season at home against USF. But it's definitely an interesting schedule. The first thing I noticed, it felt like Memphis had gotten into this routine with the AAC where they knew Memphis had a good team, Memphis was good television, and so you would always see that final game of the year would be a game that they anticipated would be a big-time game, a battle between the 2 best teams in the conference. Used to it'd be Memphis and Houston every year, the last game of the season, and usually you would see the first game of that meeting about a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks before. You saw that year in, year out with Houston. Last year they did it with Florida Atlantic, and now it does not feel like Memphis has that. They're ending the season against USF. I don't know what USF will be this year, but it didn't come out and you looked at the schedule and go, oh man, last game of the season, there's that big one like you have probably the last 4 or 5 years before this year.
That's why I was scared a few years ago. Will it feel like this ever again on the last home game of the year like it did against Houston? My not top story, it started with Memphis across the chest, and it ended with Memphis across the chest for Derrick Rose. From Chicago to Memphis for that one brilliant year to last year when it looked like what most players look like at the end. A flash here, injured there, and not able to go a lot. Derrick Rose, it was worth trying last year for the Grizzlies, but now it's over, and he's to be celebrated.
Absolutely. 100% should be celebrated, and I've really enjoyed a lot of things I've seen on social media today in honor of his retirement announcement. But that'll do it for top and not top story of the day. We need to go ahead and get to a break, and when we come back, we're talking some college football with Bill Bender.
We are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Hey folks, grab old Penelope and saddle up for the 35th annual Western Trading Days here at Sunrise Buick GMC at Wolf Chase. There's a new sheriff in town, and we're slashing prices on over 600 new Buicks and GMC models. You'll get big rebates, huge discounts, and a low APR financing. Get top dollar for your old wagon when you trade in for a new buggy, and financing for just about everyone. Divorce, repo, slow pay, it's all okay at Sunrise. The #1 volume Buick GMC dealership in Memphis, 4 years running. Call, click, or come on into the good-looking store in Bartlett. We make it fun to buy a car.
All financing on approved credit based on 20 through 23 new vehicle sales data.
Family Leisure is having the world's biggest spa set. It's happening right now. You can save thousands on in-stock hot tubs that are ready to be delivered. Family Leisure has spas that start at just $28.99. You know those cold plunges? You can get one for yourself starting at $39.99. Or how about swim spas? They start at $17,499. Plus, Family Leisure has set up special financing just for this event. Have you been sitting on the fence about an above-ground pool? Get off that fence and get to Family Leisure to take advantage of huge discounts on all their in-stock above-ground pools. And if you need some patio furniture, it's all priced to move out now. It's not too late to have some summer fun, courtesy of Family Leisure. But you better hurry up. The world's biggest spa sale might go on forever. Family Leisure. With and run at I-40. Family and fun come together.
Step up your wings game at East Coast Wings and Grill. With 60 wing flavors and 7 heat indexes, do you have what it takes to turn the heat on your wings up to insanity? East Coast Wings and Grill is family friendly with a large variety menu to satisfy the whole bunch. Sign up today for their loyalty program and taste the rewards. For every dollar you spend, you collect a point. Earn 100 points and receive a $5 reward. Next to Lowe's on Highway 64 in Bartlett, come try America's best wings at East Coast Wings and Grill.
Jason's Deli. When you're dining in or picking up curbside, you can expect wholesome food and no surprises. Just delicious sandwiches, crisp salads, and clean quality meals made with the freshest ingredients and no artificial trans fats, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or artificial colors and dyes. Around here, a lot of thought goes into what we put into our food and what we take out of it.
5000. The team is Jason's Deli. They have the credentials and the commitment to keep you satisfied. Freshness is nearby. Jason's Deli locations at Ridgeway in the Park Place Center, Popper Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and Goodman Road in Highland Ranch. Jason's Deli is wholesome food and no surprises.
Ian Eagle here from Thursday Night Football on Westwood One. I'll be joined in the booth by Phil Simms as we kick off Week 4 with NFC East action between the Cowboys and the Giants. Dallas travels to New York after back-to-back disappointing losses at home. Now they face their division rival, who are coming off their first win of the season. Don't miss any of the action on Thursday Night Football.
Right here on Sports 56.
Need a little help? O'Reilly Auto Parts can help. Need advice? We've got advice. No matter what you need, we have thousands of professional parts people doing their part to make sure you have it. Exceptional customer service. Just one part that makes O'Reilly stand apart. The professional parts people.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
This is the story of the one. As a facility technician installing a new welding station, he knows getting the ventilation right is critical for safety. That's why when questions arise, there's Granger. And Granger offers detailed technical product information online at his fingertips, so it's easy to find what he needs. Because when it comes to safety, having answers means he and his people can breathe a little easier. Call clickgranger.com or just stop by. Granger, for the ones who get it done.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. Just a couple of EMS calls out here the last 10-15 minutes. Traffic-wise, not too bad at the moment. As you make your way south of Memphis on the Interstate 55, it looks pretty decent right now down through South Haven all the way down into DeSoto County. For some reason, 240 East has been trying to get a little bit busy already over here at times. Eastbound on 240 up by Poplar. Weiber's Jewelry serving the Memphis area now for over 40 years. No matter what the occasion is that's coming up, check with them first. Shop local, save a lot of money at Weimer's Jewelry. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Joining Brian and Brett now on Sportstime is Bill Bender, National College Football writer for the Sporting News, and on Twitter X at Bill Bender. Here's Bill with Brian and Brett.
Bill Bender joins us now to talk some college football from the Sporting News. He joins us now. Bill, thanks so much for joining us. I want to start off with the USC-Michigan game from last week. USC's first game, first conference game as a member in the Big Ten. On the other side, Michigan looking for some answers, especially at that quarterback position. Michigan gets the win. Defense looked really good. What did you take away for both USC and Michigan in that game on Saturday?
Well, I know this isn't fit perfectly. I just don't feel like either team lost. Michigan was able to pull out the win with the running game and obviously a fantastic final drive. USC lost the game, but they showed that aside from maybe 3 plays, they could have easily won that game too. I thought the fourth quarter was highly entertaining. We've talked so much about realignment, and this is the good side of it. You get matchups like that. It was awesome. Awesome game to watch, fourth quarter. I don't know if it was a good football game, but it was a highly entertaining football game. And I think USC, you look at their schedule, they're going to be fine. And Michigan, they're going to have to find a quarterback that can throw at some point.
Michigan in any trouble this week against the Gophers?
Well, every week's going to be like that. I mean,
pretty narrow.
I think you're going to swap the uniforms out, and you're looking at Iowa, basically. Iowa with a better defense is what Michigan is. They're going to grind out, running game and score some points that way, but they also have a good defense, but they need to find some semblance of passing game. Some of that was Colston Loveland was out, but to answer your question, Brad, I think they take care of business at home this week, but they could run into some issues at Washington next week.
Louisville at Notre Dame. That's a good one. Louisville undefeated. Notre Dame with that one blemish to Northern Illinois really played well since that. But U of L at Notre Dame.
Yeah, good game. Notre Dame's going to have to play better. They have a nasty defense, too. They're like Michigan, honestly, with a little more upside in the passing game as Riley Leonard continues to grow into that role. Their defense is awesome. And Louisville's played awesome, too, though. Tyler Shaw, only 1 sack, no interceptions, 8 touchdowns. They handled Georgia Tech last week a little more than I thought they might. Should be a fun game. Louisville handled Notre Dame last year. I do think the Irish win the game, but that line is pulling my eyes a little bit because I think it's going to be a field goal game either way.
Bill, you said a lot of these games we wouldn't have gotten without conference realignment, and it was really special to watch, to see those uniforms and those bands between Michigan and USC. Almost the same with Oklahoma going down to Auburn. These two teams have only met twice. One was after Pat Sullivan's Heisman Trophy winning year, and one about 7-8 years ago. OU's won both of those. This is a fun matchup, made even better by Oklahoma making the quarterback change and Auburn in such a quarterback flux.
Yeah, and I think the what makes that matchup fun is that the quarterbacks are switched, and Hugh Freeze has taken a little bit of heat for some of his comments this week, and probably deservedly so, because I don't know how many times I can say it, that just blame yourself. Now, when you start blaming the kid for a loss, you're going to get in trouble every level, maybe except for the NFL. And Hawkins, I think, is the right move for Oklahoma at the right time because he offers something with his legs, and Oklahoma obviously coming off that loss. Their defense is still pretty good, though. And, I mean, my takeaway from that game last week, Brad, Tennessee's defense is nasty. Those guys are pretty good on that side of the ball.
Yeah, and they had Nico in a kind of a guarded position, but handled him well to ride the defense. You're right about the comments. I think when you lose, all you should say is congratulations to the team that just beat us. We've got to get better. And then if you're Hugh Freeze, go pop up your bank account and look at your account information online. Everything's okay. You don't have to make an idiot of yourself.
No, and I mean he's taken some side swipes since, and whether it was Lane or somebody else that have taken some jabs, and probably deserves those. That said, it's been a really interesting week in college football with that. Yesterday, I think the last 24 to 36 hours of my life, I've been talking about this UNLV quarterback situation. And, my first knee-jerk reaction to it is, he quit on his team. I know there are other factors here, money and agents, that make it a little more complicated than that. But kind of my feeling is, you can always sort the money out. You could sue later, but, you're in a position where you're the quarterback of a 3-0 football team. Take advantage of that first.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, it's a lot being thrown around. Now we're seeing Bear Alexander from USC. He's also said he's going to take his red shirt and enter the
Bear's never happy wherever he is.
No, that's a great point, Brett. He can't stay anywhere. Do you think this is going to become a bigger thing in college football, where we see guys 2-3 weeks into the season say, I'm going to take my red shirt, I'm not playing another game for this program, and then once the season's over, I'm entering the transfer portal?
Well, guys are always going to transfer over playing time. My son in 8th grade, I've watched 5 years of travel sports where kids come and go on these teams, which I have feelings on that, but the segment's not long enough. But the UNLV situation is different because that's about money.
Sure.
That's not about playing time. And that's why I don't think, to answer your question, I think when it comes to the group of 5 schools, yes, that's going to happen more often. I don't know that this happens at Alabama and Georgia with the money part. Like, I've been using this example all day. Jalen Milroe is not going to sit out against Georgia tomorrow because the NIL money didn't come in, because, 1, the money would come in, and 2, the impact on his NFL draft stock would be ridiculous. So I don't think it'll impact those kind of heavyweight programs as much, because they're going to come up with that money.
Mm-hmm. 2 games in Big Ten country, and these teams well. Michigan State, a big home underdog against the Ohio State Penn State a big home favorite over Illinois. Who's got the better chance to spring the upset? The Brett Bielema's Illini visiting at Happy Valley, or Michigan State at home against the Buckeyes?
I would say Illinois. I mean, I think Michigan State, interested to see how their play come off a loss. They have improved under Jonathan Smith, but they're running into a buzzsaw. Judkins and Henderson, the way they can run the ball. I think Ohio State's coming off a game where they don't felt like they played very well, so that makes it even worse for Michigan State. I think you'll see a hyper-focused Ohio State team up in East Lansing. Brett Bielema proved me wrong last week. I think I was on this show saying Nebraska was going to dominate and Nebraska was going to do this, and yeah, that's what predictions are fit to be wrong. But I like Illinois to at least hang around at Penn State this weekend. Brett Bielema's got a pretty good team up front on both sides. Luke Altmaier's playing very good football, and I think that continues this weekend. They won't win the game. Penn State's really good, but I think they'll hang around.
I was watching that game on Friday night. It was a great game, and we've talked so much about all these brands that are back, and it is Nebraska. Will they get back? Something that never left that crowd at home in Lincoln. Watching that game, I'm going, look at those great fans, and they've been to you-know-where and back the last 15, 18 years.
Yeah, and they've got a good football team. They're on the upcoming swing, whatever you want to call it. Got to win those close games. And they ran into an Illinois team that's a little bit more ahead of schedule up front than Nebraska is. Dylan Raiola is young. They'll learn from those mistakes that were made in that game. And I just think Illinois had an excellent game plan. I undervalued what Luke Altmaier has done this season. I've undervalued how they were able to create turnovers. I mean, I guess the next step for Nebraska is going to be, can they start winning the one-score games? Because Matt Rule's done everything else. He's upgraded the talent. He's created enthusiasm. He's recruited well. They just can't win those one-score games, and that's something that eventually they're going to have to break through and do.
Bill, so many people said after Brett Bielema didn't work out at Arkansas, and he didn't, is that his style, that Big Ten style, didn't work in the SEC. And I tried resisting that at the time, and I'm going to do it here with you today, or advance this notion with you today. I thought he got away from that style. I thought he kind of took the bait on pass happy, and had a guy in Brandon Allen who still is, very serviceable backup in the NFL. And I thought he got a little too pass happy, and he got a little away from that smash 'em style at Arkansas.
Yeah, I mean, what is Big Ten style? Georgia runs the most traditional offense possible. They just run down your throat because they can. I think all these SEC teams, for the most part, are pretty similar. So you're right, though. They did probably throw a little too much. Now, he knows how to win in the middle of the Big Ten. If they still had a Big Ten East and West, they'd be a real threat to win the West because he has that style and knows how to coach guys up front, does a good job with the defense in recent seasons. So I would co-sign that. I don't know that I just think in the SEC, man, you can call it Big Ten style or whatever you want to call it, but those two teams that'll be on display in Tuscaloosa on Saturday, they win the line of scrimmage, and that's how you win football games.
Well, you mentioned that game in Tuscaloosa. Last thing for you, the big game, Georgia and Alabama, Saturday night in Tuscaloosa. What do you expect to see in this one? And we were talking yesterday, Brett and I were, about last time Alabama was a home underdog was 2007. They'll be a home underdog Saturday against Georgia. What do you expect in this one?
Oh, a great game. Talent on both sides. Great quarterback play. Milroe and Beck, when they played last year, they both played awesome football in the fourth quarter. So, it'd probably be a one-score game. Which team can get that running game going? It's funny. We were talking about Big Ten. That's what Big Ten teams do. That's what good SEC teams do. They get the running game going early, and then they go from there. I think the X-factor player on both teams is Ryan Williams, this outstanding freshman for Alabama. On the other side, Trevor Etienne. Does he get going? He had the suspension, slow start, didn't do much against Kentucky. Is he an X-factor in this game? It's going to be great theater, great stage. Obviously, huge for both teams, but not a death blow if you lose.
Right.
I think it'll be I like Georgia by a field goal. I think it's going to be a close.
I like it. Well, Bill, it's going to be a lot of fun. Enjoy the weekend, and we'll talk to you again next Thursday.
Hey, always enjoy it, guys. Thanks so much. Take care.
Thanks, Bill.
Thank you, Bill. We always enjoy it, too. Bill Bender from the Sporting News talking college football with us. And this weekend, really starting tonight with high school games in the area into tomorrow night, weather permitting. I know schedules being moved around. Saturday at Tiger Lane, Saturday down in the Grove. Start that tailgating. Started at Jason's Deli. Whether it's 5 or 5,000, they could accommodate the entire Grove and all of Tiger Lane. Let them do all that work. They'd love to do that. When you feel like you don't have your event planned just right, step aside, let them step in. Same day, last minute orders welcomed at Jason's Deli. They step in and excel, bringing more to the table. It's a family thing, whether it's dining in, to go, or delivery. Wholesome food forever. Again, 200 area associates treating you like family. And if you're at any tailgate spot, this is what you started with, the beef eater sliders tray. I bought a couple home games ago and took them down early to a tailgate spot with me. 2 dozen hot roast beef mini sandwiches with provolone, mayo, and potato slider buns, served with au jus on the side. The deli slider tailgate package, cold mini sandwiches on potato rolls, 12 roasted turkey and 12 ham salami sliders. Doesn't that sound great? Let them do all the work. You show up, say, look where I got, how I brought stuff to the tailgate, and you'll love it. That assorted dessert tray as well from Jason's Deli, all for the tailgate spots, all for any events you have, and you can enjoy it in all these locations, like over across from MUS on Ridgeway, by the University of Memphis at Poplar and Highland, down in Olive Branch, out in Cordova, in every one of those locations, the complimentary free ice cream. Plenty of organic food to choose from in that great salad bar, and every location, over 30 items to choose from for you to prepare it however you would like. Check them out online as well at jasonsdeli.com.
Let's get to another break. When we come back, we're now down to the final couple of days of Major League Baseball. Some interesting games today, setting up for some interesting series over the weekend. We'll talk more Major League Baseball next on Sports Time.
Spencer here with ATC Fitness. There's no better time of the year than now. Football and fitness go hand in hand in the fall. And with individual screens on each piece of cardio and multiple big screens throughout the rest of the club, you'll never miss a bit of the action watching your favorite team. ATC Fitness continues to be the Mid-South's choice for fitness, family-owned for 30 years, and proud supporters of Coach Silverfield and the Memphis Tigers. Join online at atcfitness.com. ATC Fitness. Exercise your right to look good.
You're a contractor and you need concrete coating and supplies in Memphis fast, and you get this answer? I think we can order that stuff, but you're going to have to wait a few days for delivery. Why wait? Get your concrete coatings and supplies now at TSS Supply, where everything you need is in stock. If you're working in the tri-state Tennessee, Arkansas, Mississippi area, everything you need for concrete coating is at TSS Supply, 5665 East Rains Road, Memphis. TSS Supply specializes only in concrete coatings and supplies all in one place. If you're looking for a particular item, need large quantities, or just have general questions, call 901-729-0565, 729-0565, or you can email your question to Brad at tsssupply.com. The friendly, knowledgeable folks at TSS Supply have over 150 years combined experience in concrete coatings, materials, and supplies. Come by and visit TSS Supply Friday, September 27th. Sports 56 will be broadcasting live from 7 to 10 a.m. with Greg and Eli, and then John Harden from 11 to 1. Sports 56 will have free giveaways plus breakfast and lunch during the live broadcast. TSS Supply, 5665 East Rains Road.
Locally owned and operated for over 40 years, Automatic Gates Construction tailors custom gate solutions for all your residential, commercial, and industrial needs, including repairs, maintenance, and installation. Automatic Gates Construction specializes in designing and installing automatic gates and fencing that seamlessly blends security, functionality, and aesthetic appeal. Elevate the safety and efficiency of your property with a premium gate solution. Automatic Gates Construction at myautomaticgates.com.
Admit it. When you start thinking about tastes of Memphis, you think treats, sweets. You think Dinstall's. For 122 years now. What is that, 5 generations? When people wanted something to bring to a party, that will just make everybody happy, they bring out Dinstall's. 122 years of Cashew Crunch, of Heavenly Hash, of Turtlettes, of their award-winning fudge. That's worldwide. It's known that well. Then there's the milk chocolate. It all starts there. There's the double dip peanuts. And then every fall, those famous chocolate-covered strawberries with that fondant. And they won't tell you what's in the fondant, but it makes it oh so special. And easy to get to. 5 locations. There's where they make the candies in Pleasant View. There's Germantown. There's Collierville. There's even one downtown and in my neck of the woods in Laurelwood. You know what? 122 years made in Memphis and enjoyed by the whole world. Dinstall's.
Wash your house, wash your office building? Impossible! Not if you call Wilson's Pro Wash. Your house, fence, driveway, warehouse, store, hotel, even cars and trucks can all be squeaky clean and beautiful after pressure washing by Wilson's Pro Wash. Wilson's specializes in cleaning all hard surfaces, concrete, stone, brick, and mortar, even wood and vinyl siding. Then Wilson's can seal their surfaces so they stay looking brand new. Call Wilson's Pro Wash, 901-524-6799, or online at wilsonsprowash.com.
Hungry for that delicious smash burger flavor? Dyer's Cafe is the original smash burger since 1912 and still smashing burgers in Collierville's historic town square. Come out for their lunch specials Monday through Friday 11 to 2. Ask about their world-famous split dog and authentic Chicago or New York dog. Try the leaner side of Dyer's with a grilled chicken sandwich or freshly made salad. Also serving lakes, Delta-raised catfish, Pasquale's tamales, and a customer favorite hand-breaded onion rings. Dyer's, serving world-famous burgers, dogs, and shakes in Collierville's historic town square.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 95 FM. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, Brett Stats, Norsworthy, and Brian Gates.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you as we got a couple minutes left in this hour. And I got to talk some Major League Baseball. We've got a couple of games going on right now, a couple of finals already looking around Major League Baseball. Brewers, they got a 5-2 win over the Pirates. Kansas City, a 7-4 win over the Nationals. Tigers, 4-3 win over the Rays. The White Sox, a 7-0 win over the Angels. Don't look now, Brett, but here come the White Sox. 2 games going on right now. Cardinals, they're up 6-5 over the Rockies, and then out in Oakland, a sellout crowd. The A's are up 2-0 right now, bottom of the 5th against the Rangers. That would be fun. If the Athletics could get a win today, that final game in Oakland would be really, really cool to see. And then after these 2 games are done, only 3 games tonight. Orioles, Yankees, Marlins, Twins, Padres, Dodgers. The Marlins-Twins game, very important because I already mentioned Royals with a win today, Tigers with a win today. They are both still in. Twins really need a win tonight against the Marlins to not put themselves further back from those 2 teams.
Tack one on for the A's.
Wow.
Left fielder just lost one in the Sun. Kumar Rocker pitching for the Rangers. He's been pretty good his September starts. But the A's just have to win that last one there.
Oh, yeah.
White Sox, they win. They're 39 and 120. The 62 Mets went 40 and 120. They didn't, for some reason, didn't play, and we were already to 162 by then. They didn't make up those games. It sure didn't matter in the standings, so what of it? Would you find a little solace if you're the Southsiders in that, even at 41, now 41, that'd be 121 losses. So they have to win out.
Sure.
So they have to finish 42 and 120. Well, yeah, we lost the same as the 62 Mets, but we won more.
That's true. That is a good point. You would have had more wins. No, it's going to come eventually, but they've been doing everything they can to avoid it, and looks like they're going to avoid it again today against the Angels. But then they go on the road the next 3 days against the Detroit Tigers. I feel very good that they will not stay at 120. I feel like they will drop below 120.
15,678 on the South Side today.
Really?
If you believe the box score.
That's correct, yes. I don't believe the box score.
I don't either. If it's accurate, That's not too bad
That's
for that.
really not bad at
Must
all.
have been the last game. They must be going out of town.
Yeah, no, that does not. I don't believe that box score, but good for them, I guess, if that's what they want to tell us. We talked about it a lot.
Yeah, they go to Detroit.
Yeah, it's
so that's it.
Yeah, it's so maybe close. People want to see the White Sox one more time, but I think their fans even don't want to see them at this point. They're just that bad.
So much fibbing on scan count and actual fans in their seats. Okay, fine. I wish somebody would go for like today in Oakland.
Mm-hmm.
122,617. Prove me wrong.
Prove me wrong.
Prove me wrong.
You can't. You can say that's ridiculous. There's no way there's that many people in there.
Well, it's just as ridiculous when you know you have
exactly
7,000 there, and you say it's 16,000.
That's right. That is right. But no, what is stopping these teams from just throwing out a massive number and saying that's what it is? Deal with it. There's really nothing. But he's gonna be. It's gonna be interesting to see what happens over these next 3 days. Twins tonight. What happens with them against the Marlins? Can they get a win and really make things interesting? I think a loss. I think you feel really good if you're Detroit or the Royals, but it's not easy for either of them. Royals on the road against the Braves. Now the Braves have had 2 days off. We did mention the Tigers at home against the White Sox, so it does get easy for them. But let's go ahead and wrap up this hour, get to another break. When we come back, we're talking a whole lot of NBA because Keith Smith from Spot Track and the Front Office Show, he's going to join us to talk the NBA offseason. We're right around the corner from the start of preseason games. I believe Grizzlies either the 7th or the 8th of October will be their first preseason game of the year. So that's, only about a week and a half away. We got to talk about that. We got to talk about Derrick Rose announcing his retirement. So a lot to get to on the other side with Keith Smith. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to Sports Time.
Win a free tailgate package from Buster's Butcher. Stop in Buster's Butcher, 199 South Highland Street, and register to win Ice Mule Cooler, 4 Yeti Coasters, a $200 gift certificate, and some Buster's branded swag. Tailgate package valued at $500, no purchase necessary, 1 entry per person. Winner drawn 10 a.m. October 1st. Buster's Butcher offering the finest selection of curated meats, cheeses, prepared foods, and more. Learn more at bustersbutcher.com.
We're in the break room at a traditional jewelry store here. Hey, Mark, I know it's our job here to try and sell every piece of jewelry, but don't sell this ring. I'm going to try to use my employee discount to buy it for my wife.
Okay, but you know you can get a better deal at Genesis Diamonds.
Genesis Diamonds? Are you crazy? Better not let the boss hear it.
All I'm saying is I got a pair of diamond set earrings there for my wife and paid a lot less than what we charge here, even after my employee discount.
Wow.
You never know who you'll see shopping at Genesis Diamonds with no middleman pricing on the best selection of diamond rings, earrings, pendants, bands, and bracelets. It's a no-brainer.
I admire your dedication to our jewelry store and not going to Genesis. I know the boss really appreciates your loyalty.
It's just the right thing to do, man.
And it's nice your wife won't mind getting a smaller diamond.
On second thought, can you cover me while I take a break? Genesis Diamonds, the smart alternative to old-fashioned jewelry shopping. With more selection, lower prices, higher quality, stronger warranties, and zero pressure. At Poplar and Perkins Extended.
Napa Cafe celebrates 26 years in 2024. Hi, I'm Glenda Hastings, owner of Napa Cafe, and I want to thank you for making us part of your dining experiences. Treat yourself tonight with a delightful dinner. Maybe start with an appetizer like our baked sweet peculiar peppers stuffed with goat cheese and mozzarella, finished with basil pistou, and move on to one of our cozy dishes like the double chocolate stout braised boneless beef short ribs with tonkatsu sauce and creamy mashed potatoes, or a fresh seafood dish like our pan-roasted ginger buttered sea bass with cilantro soy vinaigrette. I get hungry just talking about it. Don't forget about dessert, our famous sweet buttermilk pie with brown sugar sauce, or drink your dessert with one of our signature dessert cocktails, like the lemon cheesecake martini, lemony, icy, frothy, and dusted with graham cracker crumbs. Napa Cafe, open Wednesday through Saturday for dinner starting at 5 o'clock. For reservations, visit our website at napacafe.com. Come join us as we celebrate 26 years of Napa Cafe. We can't wait to serve you.
The
Looking for a high-efficiency planting solution? The Case IH 2150 Early Riser Planter combines the industry's most accurate planter technologies with a rugged row unit for fast and uniform emergence. The Case IH 2150 Early Riser operates at your speed and adapts to unique field conditions so that you can maximize your yield potential. Stop in or call Mid-South Ag Equipment at 662-890-3141 to learn more. That's Mid-South Ag, your Case IH Equipment headquarters.
Take your basketball skills to the next level at Shoot 360 Memphis. Shoot 360 is a revolutionary basketball training facility that combines cutting-edge technology with gamification and provides instant, objective feedback, hands-on, one-on-one expert coaching. And now, introducing Shoot 360 Cordova, a newly renovated 50,000 square foot facility with 2 NBA regulation-sized courts, 3 high school-sized courts, and 4 shooting bays with Shoot 360 technology. Memberships are now on a monthly basis. And yes, you can become a member at both locations. Whether you're an aspiring young talent, NBA player, or looking for a unique workout, all skill levels are welcome at Shoot 360 Memphis to learn proper shooting and passing techniques, improve fundamentals, and gain a competitive edge while having fun. Shoot 360 Memphis now in Cordova and Collierville. Call them today at 901-779-3176. That's 901-779-3176. The future of basketball training is here. Shoot 360 Memphis.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. Just a couple of EMS calls out here the last 10, 15 minutes. Traffic-wise, not too bad at the moment. As you make your way south of Memphis on the Interstate 55, it looks pretty decent right now down through South Haven all the way down into DeSoto County. For some reason, 240 East has been trying to get a little bit busy already over here at times. Eastbound on 240 up by Poplar. Weiber's Jewelry serving the Memphis area now for over 40 years. No matter what the occasion is that's coming up, check with them first. Shop local, save a lot of money at Weimer's Jewelry. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
WHBQ Memphis and W253DF Memphis with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10. Back to Sportstime on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Wilson's Car Wash, your residential and commercial pressure washing service you can trust. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Bryant Dacre.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you, and we're about to talk some NBA. It's hard to believe that we're only about a week and a half out from preseason games starting, and there's not a better person to talk the NBA with than Keith Smith. So let's go ahead and get to him. Here's Keith Smith.
Time to talk NBA with Keith Smith from Spot Rack and the Front Office Show, and on Twitter X at Keith Smith NBA. Here's Keith Smith talking basketball with Bryant and Brett.
Keith, we're getting closer and closer to the NBA season. Thanks so much for joining us again. I want to start, though, with the announcement that came down this morning. Brett and I talked about it when the news came out that the Grizzlies were going to be waiving Derrick Rose. We later learned that Derrick Rose approached the Grizzlies and asked for his release, and then this morning he made it official that he was retiring. How will Derrick Rose's career be remembered by NBA fans? Because obviously we know how it went. It was a great start, unbelievable player when he was with Chicago, and then the injuries that he's kind of dealt with the rest of his career from stop to stop, and then ultimately ending here in Memphis injured with the Grizzlies. How will Derrick Rose be remembered in the NBA?
Yeah, I think there's almost like two careers for Derrick Rose. The first one was Derrick Rose, the superstar that, burst on the scene and won MVP, and I think it was his third season in the league. And then, unfortunately, he had a couple of knee injuries that then kind of kept popping back up, and he kept struggling to get fully healthy from those. So we're in a spot where then he reinvented himself and became a really good sixth man. So I think we're really in a place where hopefully people remember Derrick Rose as a guy basketball-wise who had a really solid career in almost kind of like two completely different facets of playing the game of basketball.
Wasn't he the youngest MVP in league history?
If he wasn't, he's certainly up there. I think he might have been, though. I know, him winning that MVP, that was a big part of one of the things that'll last forever. When they name a CBA rule after you, it's a pretty big deal. And that's where the Rose Rule came from. Is if you qualify for All NBA or win MVP or Defensive Player of the Year, and they've tweaked it a bit over the years, but you qualify for more money, and that's part of why, because he was so great, so early on that the Bulls were like, hey, we got to do something here, and the league was like, all right, we're going to change the rules up a little bit.
22 years old when he won that MVP. Keith Smith, his career, different style. Well, he point guard, so same position, but the player I'm going to compare him to, taller. Sadly, you overlay these careers, his looks a lot like Penny Hardaway's.
Yeah, there's definitely some similarity there. I think Hardaway never got quite to the individual season heights that Derrick Rose was winning an MVP. But really, really good early on. Then had knee injuries that kind of sapped him of it. The difference with Derrick Rose, and I said this earlier today, it's something that I hope players will really kind of take stock in. Derrick Rose's career was all but over. If he insisted that I still need to be a starter, I still need to be kind of the main engine of a team, that was it. He was going to maybe hang on for 1 or 2 more years, and that'd be it for his career. When he adjusted and said, all right, I'll come off the bench, and, I'll take on a high-usage six-man role, which he was terrific in for a handful of years, that helped lengthen his career out, and then he got to the point where, once you're past that 12, 13-year range and got into that point of his career, he was a veteran mentor type for some younger teams. So that's something that I think, Penny Hardaway, we just never got there with him, but I would like to see, what would have happened, had, the league been thinking a little bit different, and would he have been willing to do something like that?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I'm curious, Keith, I mentioned we're about a week and a half away from the start of preseason games, and I feel like I ask you this every year, but I like to get a refresher so that I can kind of go into it thinking the way you think. How do you watch these preseason games? What are you looking for in these preseasons? It feels like, when you watch the way you watch Major League Baseball spring training is different than how you watch NFL preseason. How you watch NFL preseason is a little different how you watch NBA preseason. How do you, when you sit down and watch these preseason games, what exactly are you looking for with these teams?
Yeah, a handful of things. First, I'm looking at new faces and new places, and what does it kind of look like? How is Paul George? Well, what are those early preseason minutes playing with Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey? What does that look like on the 76ers? I look at the rookies. How do they look going against NBA guys? We've seen them in Summer League. Now, how does it look when they're going against the other frontline NBA guys? Does the game look too quick for them? Do they look really comfortable right away? What does that look like? And then players coming back from injuries. How do they look? Are they moving pretty good physically? Do they look like things are, they're past whatever it was they were dealing with injury-wise and those kind of things. So that's the stuff I'm looking for, because you're not going to get a whole lot strategy-wise, lineup-wise, those kind of things. NBA coaches have started treating it a lot more like NFL teams, where it's like, we're going to play 1 or 2 of these kind of play it out, but for the most part, we're just going to kind of mix and match and see. So it's a lot more about the individual players for me.
And the Celtics have already had their media day, haven't they?
Yeah, they did. Yeah, them in Denver both have already started media day. Already did media day. Already started training camp because they're headed off to Abu Dhabi at the beginning to middle part of next week. They're going to be playing a couple of preseason games over there before they come back. So whichever teams get headed out that way, that's kind of become an annual thing for the NBA. They give them a week up because they lose a few days on the travel on either side of that trip. So they're already off and going, already, getting the, 10 pounds of muscle and, all your things on your training camp media day bingo card.
What was the biggest takeaway from Celtics Media Day for you?
Yeah, what it really was the number of guys who, from players to coaches to Brad Stevens, that said some version of, we're going to celebrate one more time, where we're going to get our rings, we're going to hang our banner, and then that's it. It's over. No one cares anymore. That's all behind us. It's all about the next season, trying to get a championship, because no one's going to care that we won it last year. That doesn't matter except for, one more night of celebration, and then we're back to it. And I think that's the right approach to take. It's, I always say this, it's, nobody climbs Mount Everest, gets back down on the descent and says, you know what, let's go right back up. Let's do it.
Yeah.
You have to have a reason, right? There has to be a reason to do it again. And what the Celtics are coming out with is, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum. They both admitted, hey, we had not the perfect summers for us. We should have been celebrating and basking in the glory. Instead, one guy didn't make the Olympic team. The other guy was upset about the way he played. It's funny. I said the other day on our show, Front Office Show, that I'm going to start marketing little chips of concrete that players can Velcro to their jerseys so they can always constantly have a chip on their shoulder because they're really good at inventing them, right? Like the basketball players are better than just about anybody else that, invented the nobody believes in us and disrespect card and everything. But the Celtics have some guys who are for real reasons. And then you've got guys like Al Horford and Derek White and Drew Holiday chiming in with I wasn't happy about the way it went down for those guys either. And then Kristaps Porzingis comes out and says, we won the title. I'm super happy, but I didn't play a big part in it. So I feel like I didn't really do anything last year. So I want to prove to everybody what I can be when I'm finally ready to go. So they're coming back a little more motivated than I think you usually see the defending champion.
Keith, I think so too. And I watched some of their media day, and some of the questions I thought were kind of outrageous about the Olympics. But that happens. There are a lot of places that would say all the things that Brad Stevens said and those players said and Porzingis said. That's one place I really believe they mean it.
Yeah, I think so. I always go back to, it was a Tom Brady quote that he shared, but then other teams in the region, as they're apt to, started picking up on it too. And Tom Brady said he asked the Michigan trainer, I think it was a trainer or maybe equipment manager, who had been there for years and years and years, and he said, hey, which is your favorite Big Ten championship? And the guy told him, the next one. That's my favorite one, the next one. And Tom Brady said, that's the mentality I took into the NBA with me, was the next one. And I think with the Celtics, one of the things that they did when they built their new practice facility down the road from where, they play in TD Garden, they built a big new practice facility. And one of the things that they did with the players was they hung all the banners, but they left a whole bunch of open space. And they told all the guys, it's on you, fill it up. You're the ones who need to go fill up that open space. And one of the things Jason Tatum said is, look, this is the Celtics. It's not about winning one championship. If you want to be an all-time Celtic, you need to put multiple up in the banners. That's just how it has to go. So I think you're in a little bit of a different headspace for these guys.
Keith, I heard a person discussing SEC football the other day and was talking about Alabama, and he said for the Alabama fans, it's never enough. You can't praise them enough. If you list the 10 best SEC wide receivers of the 21st century and you have 9 of the 10 in there from Bama, they're mad that the 10th wasn't Alabama. Sometimes during the Brady years, I thought that about the Patriot culture and him, and he would always go back to 199. In the Celtics world, can you ever please them? Is it ever enough? And I think that's a good thing for a fan base, that no, it's never enough. We want more. We want to win it every time.
Yeah, it's funny being removed from it now, not living there day to day anymore. I do see kind of the little bit of the spoiled and entitlement, especially with I have younger cousins and members of our family who they've known nothing but Boston sports teams winning. So for them, when one of them doesn't, it's like life is coming to an end. Yeah, it's and they react in ways that are like, whoa, what are we doing here? So there is some of that. Now I think it's healthy to have high expectations, but you have to also be realistic within that. And one of the things that I always say is hey, if the Celtics don't win the championship this year, that doesn't do anything to cheapen or demean what they accomplished this past season. It just is, maybe something went wrong, or maybe they ran into a different really good team at the wrong time or something like that. But, yeah, I mean, it's great to come in with the expectation of, hey, it's title or bust, because, otherwise, we're not playing for just the playoffs here, and we're not playing to just go to the finals. It only really matters if we bring one home. but then let's have perspective as the journey kind of goes along.
Talking to Keith Smith. He joins us every single Thursday to talk the NBA. And we heard, I guess it was yesterday or the day before, an update on Kawhi Leonard. He opted out of the Olympics right before competition started because he wanted to rehab his injury. And now we're learning that he underwent a procedure on his knee this offseason and that he could missed the start of training camp, but the team is optimistic about his return during training camp. How do you feel about Kawhi Leonard going into another year where it feels like injury is going to be a big storyline with him?
Yeah, I'm nervous. We've been talking about it, about where teams are starting to place, and part of what I do at the beginning of the preseason is start to very loosely put together. All right, I kind of think this is the way the conference might finish, and this is how many postseason contenders there are. How many teams I think are real finals contenders? Well, in the Western Conference, there's at least 12 teams that are viable postseason teams right now, and maybe 13 if you really believe in the San Antonio Spurs. You could pretty safely take Portland and Utah out of that mix. But I think a lot of people are going to say the Spurs should be on that list. And for me, when you start looking at it, the Clippers, they finished high in the conference a year ago, but very different team. And now you don't have Paul George. You don't have a couple other guys. If Kawhi Leonard is limited and can't be Kawhi Leonard, which they really need him to be if they're going to be the team they think they can be, I don't see how they're going to even be a postseason team, never mind a playoff team. I don't know how they even make the play-in tournament. I'm really worried about that team. Now, let's hopefully maybe they've kind of cracked the code on something here, but we're in a year, what are we in year 7 or 8 of this with Kawhi? I looked it up the other day. He's only played more than 70 games twice in his entire career to this point. Now, a couple of those were circumstantial because of shortened seasons, but we're in a spot where I think banking on anything more than about 60 games out of Kawhi is tough. But the more important thing is he going to be ready in April when the playoffs start? If they are in that position, is he going to be ready to go?
Keith, I bet you and Trevor have done this on the front office show. But if you were at the media at the Grizzlies media availability on Monday at media day, what would be the question you would ask of a player or two, of Taylor Jenkins, and a front office person or two? If you got the question for Zach Kleiman, what would you ask Monday for the Grizzlies? And I promise you, I'm not asking you this for me to steal it Monday.
That's all right. If you want to, it's okay. I think there's a couple storylines. One, I would be pushing to find out, all right, where are we at with Zach Edey? Like, are we going to go with him going into the season as a starting center if that's not offered up before? I had a chance to ask a question. And then my bigger question would be, what are your real expectations for this group? And I don't want it to be, I would follow up and push a little harder if you got the answer, we just want to, play hard and win some games. And, I would want to know, what is the real expectation? Are you content if we right the ship and we're back to being a playoff team, or is the intention, we want to really compete? We think we can be one of the top teams in the West. That's what I would really want to know is, try to get a real handle on that, because I think that's going to inform a lot towards what does the season look like, as far as who's getting the playing time. Well, what are the lineup decisions going to be? How hard are we going to push certain players? Because I think that's going to tell us quite a bit moving forward.
I saw J.J. Redick was asked about how he plans on managing the workload. No pressure. How does he plan on managing the workload for LeBron James, seeing as LeBron will turn 40 years old during the season? We kind of saw that the last couple of years, really last year and a little bit the year before. Early in the season, there was talks about how he wouldn't play as much to kind of try to protect him for the long season. How do you think it will look this year under J.J. Redick with a guy that will be 40 at the start of the new year?
Yeah, they're in a really tough spot because they're not good enough to play LeBron and AD 30 minutes a night and then spot them rest days whenever they need them. They don't have enough talent. I've been kind of telling people as folks are trickling back from NFL season and like, all right, the NBA's starting. It's just a reminder. They lost Torian Prince and Spencer Dinwiddie, two solid veteran role players, and they replaced them with two rookies in Dalton Knecht and Bronny James. That's it. That's all they did. That's the sum of the Lakers' off-season moves, on the 15-man standard roster. So that tells me, one, they either couldn't get something done, that they were overvaluing guys or undervaluing guys in trade talks. And for me, if they're going in thinking, well, LeBron and AD are still going to be great, and they probably will be pretty good, but if you're thinking you're getting a combined 147 games out of 164 out of those two guys next season, good luck. I'd be shocked if they are anywhere near that at their ages and at their injury histories. So you got to be really careful, because if you don't play them, you're probably going to lose games, and then you're going to have to push really hard to try to win games later. If you do play them, are they going to have enough left? And that to me is more of a failure to build a good roster around these two guys. These two guys with the right guys around them, they're still good enough to lift the Lakers into contention for an NBA Finals. The problem is everybody else around them just isn't good enough to be where they need to be.
It's not coming next week at media availability for Greg. You mentioned Greg Popovich earlier, but for Pop, at some point this year, if there's an exit plan, how, when, what would be the way to do it for you?
Yeah, first of all, I don't think it's coming anytime soon. I think Pop is. I think he loves it. I think he still loves going in the gym, and heck, he's coaching Victor Wembanyama. I'd love it too. Let me show up in the gym with that guy, and I'll coach 50 more years if I could. I think there's also I think there probably is at his age, at this point in life, there's probably some sense of when old coaches retire, they're not around very long after that. Usually, a lot of them that when they lose the I got to get up every day and go do this, it becomes a different kind of life, and then for whatever reason they just they're not with us much longer. So I got to wonder if that's part of it. But I think for him,
he loves the road, and he loves his wine rankings and restaurant rankings.
Yep. And now I do think if I'm the Spurs, I would want to start to maybe at least start planning again, because they've had a couple of succession plans in place, and then it's been, all right, well, Pop's sticking around, and those guys, they're not going to wait forever to get their chance at a top job. They're going to move on and go get that opportunity somewhere else. So I think with the Spurs, you probably do want to have some sense, but I almost wonder if the Spurs thought process is, hey, replacing Pop, that's like an impossible task. Mm-hmm. So we're not even going to go within the family. We're going to do, when it's time, it's going to be fresh start, new coach, somebody who hasn't been here, and start all over again, just because it might be a little bit easier to do it that way than bringing in someone who everybody's like, well, that's just Pop Jr., and let's see how it does. And then when they inevitably fail because he's one of the greatest coaches of all time, to live up to him, it makes it a little bit easier.
Yeah, it's going to be a weird situation when he does call it quits and they have to find that replacement, but it doesn't sound like it's going to be any time in the very near future. But Keith, as always, thanks so much for joining us, and we'll do it again next week.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks, Keith.
Thank you, Keith. It is here, Brian, and looking so forward to it. On Monday at 5, we will have Rob Fisher with us and talk about training camp and the year ahead, and we'll also get some September thoughts from Rob on college football.
Yeah.
And I was comparing some numbers.
Okay.
I asked, I said, and I swear it was, I not planned it. It was just off the top of my head. And with the injuries and with the early stardom, the comparisons of Derrick Rose to Penny Hardaway. You want to do blind resume, or you just want me to tell you?
I want to do blind resume.
Okay.
Hold on. Let me get this together. Right. I'm gonna write it down so that I can have it all in front of me. All right, player A.
Okay.
And player B. All right.
Player A played in 723 NBA games. Player B played in 704.
Holy cow.
Player A scored 12,573. Player B scored 10,684. Player A had 3,770 assists, 3,770. Player B had 3,525, 3,525. Player A had 2,000 324 rebounds. Player B had 3,146.
Okay.
Where's Penny? Where's Derrick Rose? A or B?
Wow. I cannot. First off, I cannot believe that it's this close.
Me either. I swear I didn't set this up.
No.
I swear I didn't.
I'm.
You saw me adding feverishly.
Oh, yes. I'm gonna say player A is Penny. Player B is Derrick Rose.
Opposite.
Really?
Derrick Rose is game 723,
Wow.
points 12,573, assists 3770, rebounds 2324. Penny 704 games, 10,684 points, assists 3525, rebounds 3146. They both should be in Springfield.
That's incredible.
Remember, it's also the basketball Hall of Fame. That 1 year at Memphis for Derrick Rose, historic, noteworthy. Acclaimed.
That's
2 for Penny,
incredible.
same. They both should be in Springfield. For Derrick Rose, I don't think it's going to be first ballot. Maybe, but I don't think it's going to be the weight that Penny has had to endure.
Sure, I'm with you.
The
on
weight
that.
for Penny to be in Basketball Hall of Fame should be over.
It 100% should be. But I'm still just shocked at how close these numbers are. This is incredible, Brett. I mean, they're the same player.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3 inches taller.
Exactly. I mean, that's incredible. Good stuff,
And I guess
Brett.
the rebounding advantage for Penny
Sure.
came from that.
Yeah.
But Penny was playmaker extraordinaire. I started to say Rose has the assist lead because he was more the playmaker, but Penny was
and that's
ball was in his hands.
That's why I went with player A being Penny because you look at the points, you look at the assists, and that very much feels like Penny Hardaway. And then, but that was also Derrick Rose. So
what if in a year or two they went in the same class?
Oh, that would be
Wouldn't it be
incredible.
great?
That would be incredible.
They should.
That'd be awesome. I don't know when that time would be, but I would certainly enjoy
Brian,
that.
that was moving in the early part of the show, and you said for so many of your friends. I know that feeling.
Yeah.
For so many of the people around your age, Derrick Rose to y'all was what Larry Finch was to me.
Exactly. 100%. I mean,
and a generation in between that Penny Hardaway was that.
I mean, I was in elementary school when Derrick Rose was playing for the Tigers. And so for the people my age, my friend group, we grew up watching Derrick Rose.
5th grade for me, Tigers in the national championship with Larry Finch.
Exactly. So it's just, that was one of the guys that growing up, you watched him play every single time he was on the television. And so to see that career ending today, it's a bittersweet moment for me and a lot of people I know, but definitely I know an injury-riddled career, but a really, really good one for Derrick Rose. Well, before we get to a break, let me remind you about our 4 o'clock sponsor, Wilson's Pro Wash. Do me a favor, picture your home beautifully clean and pristine. Does that seem like an impossible task? Not if you call Wilson's Pro Wash. Their Gentle Touch Pro Wash will restore your house, fence, driveway, commercial building, and more to their very best. Wilson specializes in cleaning all hard surfaces, from concrete to stone, brick to mortar, and even wood to vinyl sidings. Then, Wilson's can seal your surfaces so they stay looking brand new. Wilson's Pro Wash, clean is their mission. They'll wash away everything but your sins. So give them a call at 901-524-6799. That's 901-524-6799, or visit them online at wilsonsprowash.com. We need to grab another break. When we come back, we'll talk about this weekend in college football and take a look at some of the early lines. We'll do that next on Sports Time.
Start your day with Sports 56 Mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10, right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
I don't think we really need anyone else to help us tell everyone how great Central Barbecue is.
Oh, I don't think we need it either, but I just thought it might be fun to have somebody more famous than us chime in on the best barbecue in Memphis.
Well, did he talk about how Central Barbecue slow smokes its meat for 24 hours to make sure that it's perfectly tender and doesn't need a sauce?
Well, no, not exactly.
Well, did he talk about how there are Central Barbecue locations all over town?
No.
Did you write his copy for him?
I didn't want to be insulting.
So what did he say?
Hi, I'm Dave Woloshin, the voice of the Memphis Tigers. I love Central Barbecue, and I vote.
Does that work okay?
What does that even mean?
I don't know.
If you own a business, you know Luttrell Belting keeps you moving. Luttrell has cost-effective belts, conveyor components, and 24/7 on-site service to keep you operating smoothly. Text are just a phone call away at 800-441-8946 or online at LuttrellBelting.com. Luttrell's Memphis plant stocks belting in nearly every size and finish, and if they don't have it, they'll make it. From ordering to selection, fabrication, and installation, your Luttrell sales rep is there for you. Luttrell Belting keeps you moving.
Jenkins Floors and More invites you to their retail warehouse where they pass wholesale savings on to you. Jenkins Floors in Little Rock, Cleveland, Mississippi, and now open in Horn Lake at 2356 West Goodman Road. Specializing in flooring and carpeting, tile, plantation shutters, and blinds, Jenkins makes your life easy with a 2-week turnaround. Contractors, builders, or family projects, call 662-469-9350 for a free estimate. Owners Timmy and Rebecca Jenkins say hello to Sports 56 fans and look forward to your business.
You're a contractor and you need concrete coating and supplies in Memphis fast, and you get this answer? I think we can order that stuff, but you're going to have to wait a few days for delivery. Why wait? Get your concrete coatings and supplies now at TSS Supply, where everything you need is in stock. If you're working in the tri-state Tennessee, Arkansas, Mississippi area, everything you need for concrete coating is at TSS Supply, 5665 East Rains Road, Memphis. TSS Supply specializes only in concrete coatings and supplies all in one place. If you're looking for a particular item, need large quantities, or just have general questions, call 901-729-0565, 729-0565, or you can email your question to Brad at tsssupply.com. The friendly, knowledgeable folks at TSS Supply have over 150 years combined experience in concrete coatings, materials, and supplies. Come by and visit TSS Supply Friday, September 27th. Sports 56 will be broadcasting live from 7 to 10 a.m. with Greg and Eli, and then John Harden from 11 to 1. Sports 56 will have free giveaways plus breakfast and lunch during the live broadcast. TSS Supply, 5665 East Rains Road.
Scott Graham here from Westwood One. NFC East action coming up on Thursday Night Football when the Giants host the Cowboys. Daniel Jones in New York will hope to build on the momentum of last Sunday's first win of the season. For Dallas, Dak Prescott and crew will try to break an early 2-game losing skid. Ian Eagle and Phil Simms will call the action on Thursday Night Football.
Right here on Sports 56.
Vanguard is 100% client-owned, serving over 50 million investors every day. Whether you're planning for retirement, putting your kids through college, or saving up for your next adventure, Vanguard can help you set personalized investment goals. All investing is subject to risk. Vanguard is owned by its funds, which are owned by Vanguard's fund shareholder clients. Copyright 2024, the Vanguard Group, Inc., all rights reserved, Vanguard Marketing Corporation Distributor.
Hi, I'm Miko, the founder of Miko's Hot Chicken. When we started our family restaurant, we were also raising a family. But let me tell you, it wasn't easy. Our Chase Inc. card was there to reward us on all of our business needs. Now we have a thriving location, and we're hungry for more.
Chase Inc. Business Unlimited card. You can earn unlimited 1.5% cash back on every purchase, so your business can go from here to possible. Chase for business. Make more with yours. Real business owners compensated for the participation. Card issued by JP Morgan Chase Bank and member FDIC, subject to credit approval. Terms apply.
This Sports 56 traffic report is brought to you by Luttrell Belting. They keep you moving.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. Just a couple of EMS calls out here the last 10-15 minutes. Traffic-wise, not too bad at the moment. As you make your way south of Memphis on the Interstate 55, it looks pretty decent right now down through South Haven all the way down into DeSoto County. For some reason, 240 East has been trying to get a little bit busy already over here at times. Eastbound on 240 up by Poplar. Weiber's Jewelry serving the Memphis area now for over 40 years. No matter what the occasion is that's coming up, check with them first. Shop local, save a lot of money at Weimer's Jewelry. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Now back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Wilson's Pro Wash, the residential and commercial pressure washing service you can trust. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Brian Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you, and we got to talk some college football as we've got one game tonight, a couple games tomorrow night, and then really everything getting kicked off on Saturday. So let's talk about some of them and take a look at some of these lines. I guess let's start with the Tigers. We're going to talk Tigers in about 30 minutes with Greg Gaston. Plenty to talk about with him. Tiger basketball schedule coming out. Ed Scott just got done speaking to the media. But for the football team, they're back at home after back-to-back road games. And right now, Memphis, a 26-point favorite.
It's not big enough.
Against Middle Tennessee. Really?
I know how much I liked the Tigers last week, how much I liked the Tigers for the year. And last week did scare the daylights out of a lot of us. But Middle's awful.
Yeah. I have seen, I think I mentioned this on Monday, I've seen bits and pieces. I saw a little bit of the game against Duke. I saw a little bit more of the game against Ole Miss. They're just not a very good team. You look, I mean, even against Western Kentucky, which I don't think Western Kentucky's a very good team this year, 49-21, the final score, and a loss for Middle Tennessee State. So, it just...
If I were the scout, if I were in charge of the analysis department of all the advisors, everybody that they have now, and you could have anybody off Middle next year for your team, I might take 2.
Oh, wow. Yeah, so not a very good team
tight end
this year. Okay, good tight end. Oh.
Maybe.
Yeah, it's one of those years for Middle. But, on the flip side, this could be exactly what the Tigers need, a get back, kind of get some of that motivation back and that confidence back. Before they really get back into the conference slate. Obviously, an off week for them next week. So, you kind of wrap up non-conference. And certainly I think could certainly use it, if not need it. But that's going to be an interesting one. Some of the other games.
Well, I want to remind our listeners, excuse me, Brian, I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
We've had Doug Kazarian the last few weeks with us, and Doug is going to be back with us next week. He unfortunately had to be back in Los Angeles for a family matter. Last week, he went 3-2
Holy cow.
In college football with us and 3-1 in the NFL.
Wow.
On the year with us, 8-3 college, 6-2 NFL.
That's incredible.
So he's not ducking because of a bad week. He had other more
Yes.
pressing obligations in Los Angeles.
Yes, so hopefully, definitely thoughts and prayers with him, and we'll get him back next week, and I'm sure he'll be ready to get after it and get us some more winners for sure. Looking at some other games though on Saturday. The one you'll be at on Saturday morning, Kentucky and Ole Miss, an early one for the Rebels, the first 11 a.m. game they've played this season. And right now, Ole Miss, a 17-point favorite against a Kentucky team that's been a little weird, a little hard to figure out this year. They go out, they get beat big by South Carolina, but then they come out and play Georgia really close.
And they really didn't have opening night because of the weather against Southern Miss.
That was a weird game in and of itself. So, weird
then they
Kentucky
scared
team.
the daylights out of Georgia. Shoulda, coulda.
Absolutely. And now, so they'll head down to Oxford to play Ole Miss. And, again, Ole Miss, a big favorite at home.
Oh, the Kentucky defensive line, watching that Georgia game over again Tuesday morning or so, it was something what they did to the Georgia offensive line.
Yeah.
They moved them all over the place. They couldn't capitalize on it, though. But I love the Kentucky wide receivers, Dane Key and Barry Brown, and I love the resume of Brock Vandegrift.
Sure.
And I like the running back that I'm going to let Gary Darby and David Kellum pronounce his name because I can't.
Hey, you know what? Smart play by you, Brett.
I went to the phonetic guide and couldn't do it.
Oh,
so
good
I'm
Lord.
going to pass.
That's probably a good call. Kind of looking around Tulane, they'll host South Florida, kind of a game that I know a lot of Memphis fans will be keeping an eye on with the American. Right now, Tulane, a 4.5-point favorite at home against a USF team that's had a really, really tough non-conference slate.
They have both of those. The Tigers go to both of them. And that's where the season we all thought would be made or decided. I still kind of think that.
Yeah. I mean, those are two big ones on the road, even still. If you want.
What did last week do to your confidence meter? Because we were at 10. Whatever high the confidence meter goes, we were there, weren't we?
For sure.
For the Tigers.
For sure.
If it was 10, where are you now?
it's hard to put it on a scale. It dented it pretty good. I mean,
Well, it took a big whack out of it.
It definitely did. I think, because I don't think anybody talking before the season through these first 3 games at any point, it was always, okay, lost to Florida State, lost to Tulane, maybe you drop, a game to a frisky USF team. It was never going up to Annapolis and losing to Navy. And look,
never.
Navy could be a good team. But
maybe getting scared to death, and,
sure.
and that good kind of wake up call.
Yeah, it was never. It was
allowing 56,
no,
whether it was offense or defense.
Yeah, I mean, it's
I don't
too
need to
many.
hear that.
No,
it was 56.
Yeah, it's too many, no matter how it came. But Brett, I remember us in the summer talking about that game being, don't let this game get lost. But even then, we weren't talking about a loss. It was kind of a this one.
We let it get lost.
We sure did. When we were talking about the summer, we were kind of talking about it.
But more importantly, the team let it get lost.
They certainly
and a loss.
And we can let it get lost. That's not our responsibility.
Yeah. No,
it's the team to go out there and capitalize, and they certainly did not.
And first losses for teams that have big end of the year goals, whenever they come, they're sobering. Come real early. We're not near what we thought.
Very.
Come later, it can be very damaging.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. I mean, so it kind of affects you differently. It goes it goes differently, but that one definitely hurt. And I don't know where my confidence meter is at, but it certainly isn't at a 7 or 8. I would say it's probably closer to a 6 or a 7 or a 5 or a 6. When kind of talking about this Tiger team. You mentioned it with Bill Bender earlier in the show, but this game that might be getting a little overlooked, and one of the reasons it's getting overlooked is because of where it's going to be televised on Peacock. 15th ranked Louisville on the road against 16th ranked Notre Dame. Right now, Notre Dame a 7-point favorite in a game that will be able to view only on Peacock.
Yeah, you got to seek that out.
Mm-hmm. You absolutely do, and I don't know if that's a good business move for.
Is
NBC.
it enough there to seek it out? That's what they're going to have to decide.
It definitely will, and I mean, you look at some of the other games that are going on at 2:30 on just regular television. Wisconsin USC on CBS, Oklahoma Auburn on ABC, Arkansas Texas A&M on ESPN. I just don't know how many people.
That's enough to keep me satisfied with having to seek it out.
I don't know how many people outside of obviously Louisville and Notre Dame fans are going to be sitting there at 2:30 going, oh man, nothing really to watch right now, 2:30. Oh, that's right. Let me go to Peacock and watch this game between Notre Dame and Louisville. And something else, and I know Johnny Radio talks about this all the time, especially when we get late in the season and the NFL wants to throw a game on one of these streaming services, is with streaming services right now, it's impossible to go and watch one game and then to get out of that game and go find a different game. Whereas with regular TV, you can just flip back and forth to different games. Oh, yeah. So
you're pretty locked in?
If it's a streaming, now, if it's like ESPN Plus games, they have ways where it's a little easier, but if you're going to go watch the Notre Dame game, you're locked in on Notre Dame. To leave that game and go to a different game is going to be longer to get to that other game than it would take just to watch the commercial. So you're definitely talking about a commitment to watch that game, and I really just don't know how many people, again, outside of those two fan bases, with that 2:30 slate are going to be seeking out Peacock to watch those two teams. But I do think it will be a good game. Well, it's getting closer to dinner time, and I know a lot of people thinking about what's on the menu for dinner, what's on the slate, what should we get? Maybe you're going to one of these football games. I know some football games have been moved, the high school football games have been moved to tonight rather than tomorrow night, but maybe you're still going to a game on Friday or to a watch party. Memphis is known for barbecue, and you can get the world-famous Memphis-style barbecue any night at the commissary. With locations in Germantown and Collierville, stop in for lunch or dinner or get it to go. Start your meal with an appetizer like the cheese plate, chicken wings, or my favorite, the barbecue nachos. For more than 40 years, the commissary has been a staple in this area, and a big part is because of the quality of food they serve. My go-to is always the ribs, but it's hard to resist the barbecue shoulder pulled, or chopped. Get it by the plate or by the pound, and it comes in handy with the sandwich packs. Feed the whole group with a 6-pack, 8-pack, even a 12-pack, and don't forget about the desserts like the delicious banana pudding, brownie, or the lemon icebox pie. Check out the entire menu and catering options at commissarybbq.com. Whether it's a watch party for your favorite team or a tailgate, let the commissary cater your next event. Give them a call at 901-754-5540. That's 901-754-5540 and make any event perfect. Stop in today at either location. In Germantown, open daily until 8 p.m. or in Carterville, open till 9 p.m. for the world-famous Memphis-style barbecue at the commissary. Well, let's get to another break, and when we return, it'll be time for Big Number of the Day.
Be sure to follow us at Sports56 WHBQ on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube to watch live video of our shows. Stay up to date with station events and have chances to win prizes. Don't miss out on anything that's going on. Follow us at Sports56 WHBQ.
The 2025 Range Rover Sport sits right at the heart of the Land Rover lineup, offering a perfect mix of style, performance, and versatility. Smaller and more agile than a full-size Range Rover, it's a great option for everyone who wants luxury and practicality. Every model comes with 8-speed automatic transmission and all-wheel drive standard. Whether you navigate city streets or tackle rough terrain, Range Rover Sport has you covered. Every drive is powerful and breathtaking. The 2025 Range Rover Sport is the epitome of sporty luxury. Test drive one in Jaguar Land Rover Bluff City.
I think a lot about golf, and when I think golf, I think Miramichi. Did you know Miramichi Golf Course offers membership? It's a great way to play more golf for less out of pocket. Their memberships run for $300 a month plus tax, and that includes unlimited rounds and range balls, no extra card fees, priority tee time booking, and discounts in the pro shop. Oh, by the way, there's no initiation fee. Miramichi green fees, they'll allow you to choose the right rate at the right time on the right day for your needs. If morning tee times are more important, you can book up to 14 days ahead of time to reserve your spot. If rate is more important to you, there are discounted evening rates available that you can choose from. You'll find the lowest rates on Tuesday through Thursday afternoons. Sometimes you just need to escape the hustle and bustle of life. Miramichi Golf Course provides just the right place to solve that need. The name Miramichi means place of happy retreat. When you need a quiet, peaceful round of golf, please make your way to Miramichi.
Is your wife asking you to stop eating junk food? Well, we have you covered at Humdinger's. It's quick and it's healthy, and most important, it tastes amazing. With many choices from salmon salad to rainbow trout and grilled asparagus. Come visit us for lunch at Humdinger's, 6300 Poplar Avenue. So good, Coach Penny eats with us weekly. Don't forget, Humdinger's offers full-service catering for weddings, social events, or your corporate lunches. You can call 901-260-8292 to find out more.
There are jewelry stores, and then there's Genesis Diamonds, the cutting-edge industry leader, the pioneer. Hey, it's Eric Hasseltine, and it's no secret that jewelry stores across America watch what Genesis is doing. Genesis was the first to offer a free lifetime warranty, the first to offer a 120% diamond upgrade guarantee, the first to offer aggressive long-term, zero-interest financing. And Genesis is always on the cutting edge of design and fashion. The styles other jewelers say are new and exciting. New and exciting for Genesis 3 or 4 years ago. Genesis has the fashion-forward brands other stores aren't even allowed to carry. It's no wonder you see jewelers from other stores going to Genesis to see what they're all about. For selection, quality, service, warranties, and guarantees, Genesis leads, others follow. So for diamonds, engagement rings, exclusive designer jewelry for any occasion, and luxury brand Lexus, don't compromise. Get to the jewelry that set the industry standards year after year. Get to Genesis Diamonds on Markets Extended.
Hey folks, grab old Penelope and saddle up for the 35th annual Western Trading Days here at Sunrise Buick GMC at Wolf Chase. There's a new sheriff in town, and we're slashing prices on over 600 new Buicks and GMC models. You'll get big rebates, huge discounts, and a low APR financing. Get top dollar for your old wagon when you trade in for a new buggy, and financing for just about everyone. Divorce, repo, slow pay, it's all okay at Sunrise. The #1 volume Buick GMC dealership in Memphis, 4 years running. Call, click, or come on into the good-looking store in Bartlett. We make it fun to buy a car.
Financing on approved credit based on 20 through 23 new vehicle sales data.
Make your next grill your last with the Big Green Egg in East Memphis Heights. Smoke, bake, roast, sear, and grill, all with a lifetime warranty. Ready to cook in only 15 minutes?
Big Daddy.
Hello, Big Brand.
It's a guy, he wants to be big, then he gets big, he doesn't want to be big anymore, then he gets small, but the suit's too big.
Big Daddy.
The big boy.
You're a big guy. I think she's trying to pull a fast one on Big Daddy.
The big number of the day.
All right, Brett, my big number today is the number 12. That number has to do with tonight's Thursday night football game between your Dallas Cowboys and the Giants. Dak Prescott has won each of his last 12 starts against the Giants, throwing for at least 140 yards in each victory. It is the longest such streak by an NFL quarterback against a single team, 12 straight wins and at least 140 yards in each victory. That is the longest streak for any player, any NFL quarterback over the past 75 years.
Very close in saying big numbers today. Very close. Mine is 15. It was 15 years ago, 2009, the season of 2009, that the Southwest Classic started at AT&T Stadium, at Jerry Jones's gigantic, beautiful, great stadium. And that was between Texas A&M and Arkansas, and it was a tribute back to their days in the Southwest Conference, really with no idea that A&M would ever be a member of the SEC. They joined the SEC and started playing football in 2012. The game that year went back to campus. Johnny Manziel, absolute show he put on that year at College Station. And then the following year, it was in Fayetteville. And then because of COVID in 2020, they played it in College Station. But there have been games in Arlington between these two teams, and it hadn't been Arkansas's way a lot of times. When it was first I hatched as an idea to have that game there, Brian, it made a lot of sense. Have it there with and make it feel, really special and big goals for signage and what the game could create. It just never did, whether it was A&M back in the Big 12 or once they joined the SEC. This is mutual. Both sides all but demanded get that game to campus, and I think next year it starts with it being in Fayetteville, I think.
Interesting. Well, yeah, I think a good move to move it back to campuses.
I do
for
too.
Sure.
All these games need to, except for the famous ones: Army, Navy, Cocktail Party, Red River. We need to get away from those neutral site
and it
games.
just feels like some of them, this one, it's like you just kind of laid out. It's kind of forced, and especially now, being in the same conference and different things like that. But it's going to be a fun game. I think this game is going to be really interesting because you have a Texas A&M team. Yeah, they're 3-1, but I think a lot of people question how good are they really? And then you've got
shaky at quarterback,
very shaky at quarterback, and then you got an Arkansas team
not shaky
that
at quarterback,
is not shaky at quarterback, and has looked pretty good offensively. And so people wondering what can this team do sitting at 3-1. So right now, I mean, Texas A&M a 4-point favorite in this one, but we talked about that slate at 2:30. That could be a really, really interesting game on ESPN on Saturday.
It could be, it should be, and I can tell you who loves these games being returned to campus are the Chambers of Commerce of Fayetteville and Bryan College Station.
Right. Yes,
because they can make that money instead of it, kind of lost in the Metroplex to a place and to an owner that. I don't think Jerry Jones is hurting for money. He's hurting for wins, but he's not hurting for money.
Yeah, he's hurting for a couple of things, but money is definitely not one of them. And you're right. I mean, because of what this rivalry is and because, how the history of this series, you're going to have every game on campus packed out and sellouts. And, that's definitely good for the cities and
gigantic.
And good for the schools. So,
and all these little, we were talking the other day about these TV markets for some places in AAC. Well, I can tell you who doesn't have big TV markets: Fayetteville, Oxford, Knoxville, Auburn, and why everybody watches them? Because they're interesting.
That's right.
A lot of those AAC teams in these big splashy markets, people don't even know they're there.
Exactly.
And we say it at Ole Miss, but they say it at all the other places. I mean, it's 7 Super Bowls a year in town. I mean, imagine in these little bitty small places that didn't have any parking 40 years ago. They still don't have any. and you plop this kind of big game in the middle of it, and it's just great for the merchants in that town.
Oh, it absolutely is. It's there's reason that even though, like you mentioned, a lot of these towns and cities that these schools are in are not big television markets, there's a reason that those games are being played on ABC and used to CBS every week and ESPN primetime. And, they know that those are going to be the big games and people are going to watch them. So, yeah, it's going to be fun seeing this matchup on Saturday at AT&T Stadium. But I think ultimately going back to campuses, and I think that going back to campuses will make this rivalry even more heated for both sides.
Here's a job I wouldn't mind having for next year. Season ticket sales rep at Arkansas.
Yeah.
In Fayetteville next year, they have the Tigers in Memphis, and they have Arkansas State in Little Rock. But in Fayetteville, home games next year, Notre Dame, Auburn, Mississippi State, Mizzou, and Texas A&M.
Yeah, I think you can sell those. I don't think you'll have many issues getting deposits for season tickets with that slate next year. That's some good stuff. That's really incredible. But yeah, we'll see what happens on Saturday. And I think Arkansas a good chance to pull the upset here against Texas A&M and really cause some chaos for Mike Elko's first year.
I've been meaning to tell you all week. I heard Mark DeRosa the other day on MLB on that morning show, and I love him.
Yeah.
And I knew he played quarterback at Penn. Teammate Mike Elko, defensive back.
You're kidding.
I swear. I've been meaning to tell you that all week.
Wow, that is incredible. I love hearing stuff like that. Like,
I do too.
This player played
I
with
knew
this
DeRosa
guy.
was big-time quarterback at Penn. Ivy League quarterback.
Sure, well, absolutely. No, that's awesome. But definitely some good games over the weekend, especially in the SEC. But we need to wrap up our second hour and get to another break. When we come back, we're talking Tigers with Greg Gaston. Greg Gaston was at the media availability with Ed Scott, so we'll talk a lot about what he heard, and also Tiger basketball schedule was released, conference schedule was released earlier. We'll get to that next with Greg.
Welcome to the Rendezvous.
This is John Vergas. When my dad started the Rendezvous in 1948, I don't think anyone could have imagined we'd still be serving shoulder, cheese plates, and our world-famous dry rub ribs 75 years later. But we are still here in the basement, in an alley in downtown Memphis. We sincerely thank you for making the Rendezvous what it is today. Charlie Vergas Rendezvous, a legendary experience for over 75 years, whether you dine in, pick up, or ship across the country.
Family Leisure is having the world's biggest spa set. It's happening right now. You can save thousands on in-stock hot tubs that are ready to be delivered. Family Leisure has spas that start at just $28.99. You know those cold plunges? You can get one for yourself starting at $39.99. Or how about swim spas? They start at $17,499. Plus, Family Leisure has set up special financing just for this event. Have you been sitting on the fence about an above-ground pool? Get off that fence and get to Family Leisure to take advantage of huge discounts on all their in-stock above-ground pools. And if you need some patio furniture, it's all priced to move out now. It's not too late to have some summer fun, courtesy of Family Leisure. But you better hurry up. The world's biggest spa sale might go on forever. Family Leisure, with and run at I-40. Family fun come together.
The Labor Day sales event is still going strong at Gossett Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram Fiat on the bike, and I've got Rock and Ronnie ready to make your day.
Check this out, Randy. New 2023 Dodge Charger SXT, $27,499, over $10,000 off MSRP.
Hey, Ronnie, what about Renegade?
New 2023 Jeep Renegade, $27,499 or $319 a month.
Hey, Ronnie, tell them about that deal on Gladiator.
2024 Jeep Gladiator, over $7,000 off and 0% for 36 months available.
Don't forget about that Ram truck deal.
2025 Ram Traceman, over $6,000 off MSRP.
Rock and Ronnie says try it. Post the rest and come to the best at Gossett Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram Fiat on the bike. Online at GossettMotorCars.net. You are
or someone you know or care about has dealt with a difficult divorce. When facing divorce, you need the attorneys at Rice Law. Nick and Larry Rice lead the firm with 3 generations and 7 decades of experience. Located in Memphis, serving the entire state of Tennessee and North Mississippi. Rice Law is who you need to call. Simple or difficult divorce, they know how to handle it. Call Rice Law at 901-526-6701, or for more information, visit them at aboutdivorce.com. That's aboutdivorce.com.
At Jason's Deli, when you're dining in or picking up curbside, you can expect wholesome food and no surprises. Just delicious sandwiches, crisp salads, and quick quality meals made with the freshest ingredients and no artificial trans fats, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or artificial colors and dyes. Around here, a lot of thought goes into what we put into our food and what we take out of it. Because you're not just taking a bite, you're getting a taste of who we are. New items are constantly being created to expand our menu for all tastes and special diets with vegan and gluten-free options available. Convenience and on-time delivery you can count on. It's just a click away at jasonsdeli.com. So whether you need to feed 5 people or 5,000, the team at Jason's Deli, they have the credentials and the commitment to keep you satisfied. Freshness is nearby. At Jason's Deli, with locations at Ridgeway in the Park Place Center, Poplar in Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and on Goodman Road in Olive Branch. Jason's Deli. It's wholesome food and no surprises.
Traffic brought to you by 901 Eats to Go, 3135 Kirby Whitten Road in Bartlett. Pick up, DoorDash, Uber Eats, or online at 901eats.com. Eats with the Z. Good food fast.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. It's crowded over here now. 40 East passing Sycamore View Road on out to Germantown Parkway. A little bit busy in the last few minutes. I-40 up by Chelsea as that traffic picks up now. 40 west at Danny Thomas, headed back over across the Hernando de Soto Bridge into West Memphis. Hey, don't miss the Paul Prince Party coming up this Saturday at the Humane Society, Memphis, Shelby County. Take a tour of the place, and you can also get to hang out with some of the animals. Log on right now for more information on this event, memphishumane.org. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis, with Dave Woloshin, weekday mornings from 10 to 11. Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour brought to you by Jaguar Land Rover Bluff City. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Brian Davis.
Welcome back into Sports Time as we start our third and final hour, and Greg Gaston getting ready to join us. He just got done listening to what Ed Scott had to say about the decision by the University of Memphis to stay in the American rather than joining the Pac-12. So we'll definitely have to ask him about that. Also, Tiger basketball conference schedule released earlier today by the conference. So let's not waste any more time. Let's get to Greg Gaston.
From the Tigers sideline, it's Tigers Talk with Memphis broadcasting legend Greg Gaston. Hear Greg weekday mornings on Sports 56 mornings, along with Eli Savoy from 7 to 10, right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. On Twitter X at Greg_Gaston. Here's Greg with Bryant and Brett.
Greg, thanks so much for joining us. You just got done with the rest of the media listening to Ed Scott talk about the decision that went down earlier this week. What can you tell us that media availability happened about 3:30 or so? What can you tell us that Ed Scott said to the media?
Yeah, good afternoon, gentlemen. I can tell you this, that he is very good at what he does. He's very transparent as it came to telling the media really what they wanted. He answered every question directly and didn't hold back from anything that went on. There was probably some little intricate details that he didn't express in this press conference, but for the most part, about as open as you can be about the decision that went into not accepting the offer from the Pac-12. One of the things that he said, which I think really hits home, is we didn't say no to Memphis's future. We said no to a deal that we thought was bad. He said the goal is to compete at the highest level. Again, we didn't say no to this future. We're always going to look at that. That will be our goal. But we are not going to put ourselves into a situation where we're going to take something just to take something. And he talked about several areas of concern. Financials, number one. And that's why I thought it was a bad deal to take, and that's why a lot of people thought it didn't make a lot of sense. I asked him directly, was the report that there was only going to be $2.5 million offered to you and the other schools from the American Conference for your buyout from the American Conference from the Pac-12? And he said that was accurate. It was 2.5. So he said, you're looking at $25 million minus $2.5 million. That puts us in the hole of $22.5 million. So right there off the bat, your $22.5 million you have to figure out, you have to find, just to get out of the American Conference to go to this revitalized, but certainly far from what it used to be, Pac-8, Pac-9, whatever the heck it was going to be. So you have that situation. Then you have the uncertainty of where they stand in the future of any type of media rights deal. What were they going to do? Were they going to be able to get linear? Were they only going to have streaming services? There was just no plan, and they were limited on the amount of time they had to make a decision. Ed told us that he was in Washington, D.C. with all the ADs, so he had direct contact with the ADs from Tulane, UTSA, and South Florida, so they were able to get together, although he did say that the decision was solely theirs, that Memphis was not dependent upon the other schools to make that decision for them. In other words, if they thought it was a great deal, they certainly would have gone. The other thing he said, which I thought was very important, was his respect for the fans. He says, emotionally, I understand why people were upset. So certainly he's taken that into consideration. But once again, I go back to, we are not going to take a bad deal, and that was a bad offer.
Mm-hmm. Well, it feels like, and you kind of laid it out, it feels like that the Pac-12, that it felt like that, maybe they were just kind of sitting around, everything happened with the Mountain West, and they kind of said, we might have something, we need to move fast, and it didn't feel like they really had a plan. It felt like they were moving really fast and wanting answers now, because I saw, and you mentioned this too, that Ed Scott said that they didn't really have time to go back and forth with the Pac-12 and kind of do counteroffers and try to get something that the university liked. It really felt like the Pac-12 gave them an offer and said, you either take it or you leave it, and when you look at what was in there, it was not a good offer to Memphis or the other teams in the America, and they chose to stay.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I asked him that question directly. I said, did you counter? He said, we didn't have time to counter. We basically had hours to make this decision, which tells me that either the Pac-12 misjudged the whole situation, thinking that, oh, no question, Memphis, we know how much they want to get out of this conference, and the other schools for the American are going to jump at this opportunity. Heck, we are the Pac-12. We are few, we are proud. So,
well, were the Pac-12.
They were the Pac-12, and that's the most important thing here in this equation. This was not going to be a conference that was going to get an automatic bid into the playoff. This was not a conference that was going to all of a sudden get autonomy back. Who knows what will happen in the future with a media rights deal? What kind of deal are we talking about? There's just way too much certainty. But I think they also misjudged the situation by not giving them at least time to maybe come up with a counter proposal. Who knows what would have happened? We've heard the stories here over the last 24 hours or less about the money that is going to be given to UNLV and given to Air Force by the Mountain West to stay in the conference. It's incredible when they need to find money, they can find the money. But with Memphis and the other schools from the American and a $2.5 million offer for an exit fee that's going to cost them $25, then you throw in all the projects that are going on at the university, the money they're still trying to raise to equal the $25 million from the Smith family, right? They had to match the $25 million. They're still raising that money to finish off Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium and those renovations over the next 2 years. There's a lot of things that have to be paid for, and with uncertainty of what the future is, how can you accept something on basically blind faith? You just can't do it. But again, it doesn't take away from the ultimate goal, and that is, again, to compete at the highest level.
Greg, if not now, then when?
Well, look, he doesn't have any answers. He said, right now, we want to improve ourselves by 1% each and every day. Basically saying that we got to work on ourselves, We have to become better. He goes, I'm focused on getting a win on Saturday over Middle Tennessee State after losing that game to Navy. We can't be overly concerned. We don't talk about it, he said. We don't have meetings every day about where are we going to go, what conference can we get to, what power conference. He goes, we don't even know what the landscape of collegiate sports is going to be in several years. It's probably going to change again. It changes seemingly annually. But again, in the back of the mind of Ed Scott is still getting Memphis into that best position, whether that be, who knows, something down the road with the ACC, something with the Big 12. Maybe there's not going to be anything out there, period. But for what they have right now, they just felt that the American was a better option than this Pac-12. And the other thing is, because I've brought up, well, why don't you have a bidding war going on? The American certainly wants to keep you, and the Pac-12 obviously wants you. And from every report we heard, it was Memphis leading the way. Not saying they were the Pied Piper, but it seemed like it was the other three American schools following Memphis, and Memphis was the linchpin. Why not have the American up the ante a little bit? And he said that's not in the plans right now. That was not something they talked about with Tim Pernetti. What they're hoping is that there will be more revenue streams for the American to make more money from the deals that they have right now. And he talked about the money being 9-something. I think it's what he said. It was like 9-point-something that they were getting from the American. And he said if you put all the money together and you do the math, it comes out to like $500,000 that we would ultimately benefit from, and then we'd be down $22.5 million in the exit fee, and then all the money that they have to raise for other things and other projects. It's just really for people to think that this was a good deal for them to take. I don't know what they're smoking. I really don't understand. I know the plight of the fans and wanting to play some different teams and get into a different league. It wasn't, they didn't say no to going into a power conference. And then the other thing he said about the fan base was about the, he said he would get some emails and texts from people. Some were fairly nasty to him, which was extremely disrespectful. But they basically said, I'm paraphrasing here, I'm trying to find on Twitter.
Never heard of ugly text on a text line.
I'm trying to find the exact comment, but basically it was the fans saying that, here you go. He responded to the fans who said that they would show up to games against Pac-12 teams, but won't show up now. He said, quote, if you really cared about Memphis, then you'd be supporting us now. Wait a minute. So fans are really saying, oh, that new Pac-12, we would definitely go to those games. So you mean you'd go to the game against Boise State? You mean the game that took place last year here in Memphis, right? That's the game you're going to fill Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium, but not last year when they played Boise State, when you only had 30,000 announced. Don't tell me that you're getting 55,000 for Washington State and Oregon State. Don't even go there. So he's absolutely right. If you're supporting this university, you're there through thick and thin, no matter who they're playing.
Well, but Greg, I think respectfully, from the point of view of the fans that are tired of North Texas, Temple, Rice, et al., I think they have spoken. They're not going to go to those games. I went to the Tulane game last year during an Ole Miss open date on a Friday night, and I'm being kind, the stadium was half full. I think people have spoken about this slate of games handed to them to go to.
They're not going to Fresno State. They're not going to Colorado State. It's a problem, Brett, but it's not a problem because they said no to this revamped Pac-12. They would not be going to those games. I don't care what they say or what some people say. And there's a lot of people that certainly believe they did
Well,
the
who
right
would they
thing.
go see?
That's the problem. They're not going to see anybody. You know who they would see? They would go see SMU on game day when the Tigers are battling to get to a championship game. It's all about winning big for Memphis fans. It's all about getting to the tournament and making a run and getting to the Sweet 16. The days of them getting 35,000, 40,000 for a regular season game against Tulane or against Rice or against Washington State, that ain't happening. It's just not happening. They have to they have to win. And that loss against Navy crippled them, but they still have a chance. They have a really good team. They have to get there. They have to get to that championship game. It wasn't that long ago. You know it, in 2019, when they had an incredible crowd for SMU, an incredible day downtown Memphis for
Very
game
special
day.
day. But that was one day. That was the outlier.
But that was the position. Yeah, but it was because they were in the championship game. How many times have they been? It's only going to happen.
But
hate
at
to
the
say
actual
bad
championship
news.
game, there was only about 28,000 people there.
And that's a shame. But I mean, do you think that if they went to this league, all of a sudden they're getting 50,000 a game?
Maybe not 50, but I think it would be drastically improved over what it's been, and with the exception, of course, over the next few years during construction, I don't think they should be held to really any standard while it's a construction area. That would be very unfair. Okay,
well,
for basketball, then, who do you think people want to see?
Well, let me just counter first of all, and I respectfully disagree with what you're saying, but of course, that's why we have these discussions. The teams that would be going with Memphis would be teams that they'd be playing in that league: Tulane, UTSA, South Florida, because it has the Pac-12 moniker, a non-power conference, that it would change how many people go to games. So we're basically saying, because Boise came last year, so it's not going to be Fresno, it's not going to be Colorado State. So we're basically throwing all our eggs into the basket that Washington State, not Washington, Oregon State, not Oregon, would draw huge crowds at Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium. I completely disagree.
I don't know that it would be huge, but I think it would be improved, and a lot of it would be a honeymoon period. Would it have some elasticity to it? I don't know. Who do you think people want to see in basketball? Because we get the annual scan count report. I get it every single home game. I send it out to people. Who do you think people want to see for a home basketball schedule?
Unfortunately, nobody in that conference. Nobody in that conference. It's going to have to be teams like they brought in last year in the non-conference, like a Clemson, like a Virginia. I know they weren't huge crowds, but they were better crowds than what they normally get. I think that those are the type of games that excite people. Ole Miss will be a nice crowd. Mississippi State will be a nice crowd. I hope Missouri will be a nice crowd. People want to see good competition against better teams. But still, I go back to the whole winning thing. If you win, they won early in the season, but then when they got the conference play, when they were playing some of these really bad programs and they fell flat on their face losing to them, it halted people from wanting to go to games. I think if Memphis had continued on that trajectory and started out conference play and started just whipping teams after what they did non-conference, I think the crowds would have gotten bigger in anticipation of the big dance, and then the excitement would have been there. But it went kaput, as everybody knows. But to answer your question, there's nobody that excites anybody in this. Now, Florida Atlantic, maybe the last two seasons because they had some quality players, but that's gone. So, yeah, the answer is nobody. You have to go to support your school because you want to support your school no matter who they play. I mean, you do Ole Miss football. They didn't play the greatest non-conference schedule at Vaughn Hemingway, but I assume they still got huge crowds because of the anticipation.
All-time record crowd last Saturday against Georgia Southern.
Because they are anticipating what special year it can be for Ole Miss. Well, and again, this is prior to the Navy loss. The anticipation should have been Memphis could have this extremely special season. I mean, you were one of the people, right, that picked Memphis to be in the playoff, and I don't think that was ludicrous, right? A lot of people did. And yet the crowds were not there. Now, whether it was the renovations going on or whatever, these are excuses. So I don't know what the answer is to fill these places up. But I know that if you are a supporter of your school, like going back to what Ed Scott said, then you go through thick and thin. I mean, Penny's trying to put together the best non-conference schedule he can. Not every team wants to come and play at FedEx Forum. And then, of course, football, it's a little bit different. You try to get one of those big boys, like Arkansas or Ole Miss and big boys I'm talking about from the SEC, where you're going to draw a good crowd. And that's what you try to do to help offset the smaller crowds you're going to get. But you're not going to play 3 or 4 teams from Power 5 conferences. You may in one season play 2, but more than likely it's 1 or 0. So, again, it's tough. And it's tough to ask people to take their hard-earned money and to buy tickets for those type of games. But I just go back to it's supporting your team. You can't really worry too much about the opponent, although they do.
Talking to Greg Gassing, he joins us every Thursday to talk some Tigers. You can listen to him every single morning with Sports 56 Mornings with Greg, and Eli is also on the Tigers sidelines. Greg, speaking of some of those conference opponents they'll see on the hardwood in basketball, we now know what it will look like. The American released the conference slate for all of their teams earlier today. I told Brett this earlier. The first thing that jumped out to me was you go to that last game of the season, and it feels like ever since Penny Hardaway took over as the head coach, maybe even before that as long as Memphis and Houston have been in this conference together, it feels like they end the season against each other, and it was a big build-up of a game, the two top teams in the conference. Well, then Houston lost. FAU coming in with a lot of hype last year. They kind of became that team, and you would have kind of that Houston or FAU. You would see them one time kind of a week and a half, 2 weeks before the end of the season, and then you'd see them the last game of the season. You don't have that anymore with obviously Houston out, with FAU losing what they lost. They'll end the season now against USF at home. But what did you make of the conference slate and what it looks like?
Not much.
No.
To be honest with you, not much, because you hit it on the head. The Houston game at the end of the season, look, the conference, the people who make the conference schedule, they know that that's a marquee game on the Selection Sunday or whatever it is. Not Selection Sunday, obviously it'd be the end of the regular season, but before the conference tournament, that they wanted to set up that marquee matchup. And you lose Houston, you lose a big-time opponent. You lose Cincinnati, although they had some down years, the great history of Memphis and Cincinnati. And then you lose SMU, which was also a pretty good program, especially when Larry Brown was the head coach there. So they're all gone, and what's left? Yeah, Florida Atlantic the last couple of years. Now it doesn't even matter. I mean, you could try to force-feed me UAB and an old rivalry. You could force-feed me Tulane. They're certainly not the Tulane team from several years ago when they got some quality players. I don't know much about the other schools, like their rosters for this year. Again, I don't think much of it. Last year, hopefully, was an anomaly for Memphis and basketball, because that was an absolute disaster. But as far as the conference, look, we know pretty much. We knew who they were going to play. We don't know all the network games and what games will be on ESPN Plus and that kind of stuff. The non-conference schedule is what excites people, and then they just need to go out there and prove that they're a good team, take care of business in the conference, because there's nobody who believes that Memphis should come up short again in the conference. They should win this thing, win the conference tournament, get the AQ, and who knows, maybe there'll be a good team that's a little bit under the radar and makes some noise in the tournament. That's a scenario that is not necessarily wishful thinking. It's certainly doable, but it's something that everybody envisions happening. You cannot turn around and not win this conference. It's too weak. Memphis, even though they don't have maybe the big-name players that they had last year, have a lot of quality players, and they should be the best of that conference without question.
He's Greg Gaston from the Tiger Sideline. It's brought to you every week by Dyer's Hamburgers, Crab Kings, and the Crazy Coop.
Greg,
making me hungry, Brett. You're making me hungry.
It's that time.
It is that time. Greg, last thing for you. We didn't talk much about the Navy loss. I think enough has been said this week about that.
We're pretty
loss.
Exhausted with it.
Yeah. What do you expect to see Saturday against Middle Tennessee? Another big spread, about 26-point favorite. Quickly, what do you think we see Saturday?
Yeah, I expect them to bounce back strong, have a real good game. Looks like they're healthy for the game. We may even see Elijah Herring. And then they'll have a week off to get ready for that big trip to Tampa. So I expect a bounce back and a pretty demonstrative win. If not, I'll be a little bit concerned. But certainly that Navy loss took a lot of the air out of the sails.
It absolutely did. Greg, as always, thanks so much for joining us, and we'll talk to you again next Thursday.
Thanks, guys. Have a great week.
Thanks, Greg.
Thank you, Greg.
Greg Gaston joining us to talk Tigers like he does every single Thursday. Well, the weekend's coming up around the corner. Maybe you want to go and check out, maybe try to get a new vehicle. Let me tell you about Jaguar Land Rover Bluff City. Jaguar Bluff City has been the premier Jaguar dealership for the greater Memphis area since 1984. Their talented team is ready to help you find your perfect vehicle at unbeatable rates. Swing by Jaguar Jaguar Land Rover Bluff City today and check out the new 2025 models like the 2025 Range Rover Sport, the 2025 Range Rover Velar, and the 2025 Defender. Test drive the 2025 Range Rover Sport, where luxury meets performance. It's a perfect mix of style, performance, and versatility, with options ranging from 360 horsepower up to 635 horsepower. And it's also available as a plug-in hybrid electric vehicle with $7,500 federal tax credit when leased with approved credit. Also, take a look at the 2025 Range Rover Velar, powered by mild hybrid technology and enhanced with the latest well-being features and fully connected entertainment. The 2025 Range Rover Velar is the ultimate luxury compact crossover. Purchase yours today and get special 4.4% for 72 months financing with approved credit. Also, don't forget about the 2025 Defender, available in multiple models to fit your needs. The Defender is built for the modern explorer, and Jaguar Bluff City is offering special interest rates of 60 to 72 months on various models. Give them a call today at 877-259-6169 or go online to jaguarbluffcity.com to find your next perfect vehicle. Well, we need to grab another break, and when we come back, we'll talk about what's trending.
We are real sports talk. Sports 56 WHBQ. Available on your radio dial at 560 AM and 98.5 FM, as well as around the world online at sports56whbq.com. Take us with you everywhere by downloading the Sports 56 app. And at home, just say, Alexa, play Sports 56. Wherever you are, stay tuned in to real sports talk. Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Summer may be over, but yard work, it goes on. Don't worry, Colonial Hardware makes it easy for you. Colonial Hardware has all the lawn and garden tools you need from the best brands in the business. Ferris, Snapper, Husqvarna, Toro, Echo, Shindaiwa, and Billigo. Servicing most brands of lawn equipment, Colonial's master service techs will keep you going year-round. Colonial Hardware, family-owned and operated, and serving you for nearly 50 years. Next to Mass Pro and Lincoln at Sycamore View, and online at colonialhardwareinc.com.
All 650 acquisition fee, 20,000 miles per year, 20 cents excess mileage, Forte, RE 794, 626, MSRP 21,820, Telluride RG 543,666, MSRP 39,835, Sportage S734, 0278, MSRP 29,135, includes all rebates and incentives, PF 695, includes tax title and license, must finance through Hyundai with approved credit, valid through 9/30/24, dealer stock only.
Hey, Jeff Allen, I hear it's a family affair over there in Gossett Kia, South Mount Moriah.
Yep, we've got something for everyone. 41 MPG Highway and a 2024 Kia Forte LXS, $199 a month, $37.99 due at signing. 2025 Kia Sportage, $269 per month, $34.99 due at signing. And a 2024 Kia Telluride S front-wheel drive, $359 per month, $39.99 due at signing. And a 2024 Kia EV9 Lite rear-wheel drive has 0% for 72 months available. You haven't heard 0% in a long time.
Plus, all those bad boys come with a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty.
So whether you live in Horn Lake, South Haven, Olive Branch, or Memphis, you'll be happy at Gossett Kia on Mount Moriah.
Do you know one of the best things you can do for your employees or family's health? Provide Arctic Clear bottled water. Arctic Clear bottled water is your locally owned and operated bottled water provider. Arctic Clear is 100% natural spring water with free delivery and setup, dependable service, and no long-term contracts. What an easy choice. Call Jeff Manus today, 901-382-2363, or visit arctic-clear.com. Arctic Clear bottled water. Call now, 382-2363. That's 382-2363.
Jenkins Floors and More invites you to their retail warehouse where they pass wholesale savings on to you. Jenkins Floors in Little Rock, Cleveland, Mississippi, and now open in Horn Lake at 2356 West Goodman Road. Specializing in flooring and carpeting, tile, plantation shutters, and blinds, Jenkins makes your life easy with a 2-week turnaround. Contractors, builders, or family projects, call 662-469-9350 for a free estimate. Owners Timmy and Rebecca Jenkins say hello to Sports 56 fans and look forward to your business.
Do you know one of the best things you can do for your employees or family's health? Provide Arctic Clear bottled water. Arctic Clear bottled water is your locally owned and operated bottled water provider. Arctic Clear is 100% natural spring water with free delivery and setup, dependable service, and no long-term contracts. What an easy choice. Call Jeff Manus today, 901-382-2363, or visit arctic-clear.com. Arctic Clear bottled water. Call now 382-2363. That's 382-2363.
So you need to sell your house? I have the solution. Call 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Call my buddy Bill and I buy houses. Any house, any area, as is. It's literally as simple as that. Just pick up your phone, call 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Call my buddy Bill and I buy houses. Guaranteed to close in 5 days. If you need to sell your house fast, call Bill at 901-406-1101. That's Bill and I buy houses.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. Still trying to sort out a couple of wrecks out here the last few minutes. Heavy where you would expect coming down 240 east over here on this side of town from, let's say, Mill Branch all the way out to 385. Once you get onto Bill Morris Parkway, you'll find yourself there in the crowd as you head outbound out towards Collierville. It still wants to get a little bit heavy over here. No surprise, really, for this time of the afternoon on 40 East and Sycamore View Road all the way out past Germantown Parkway. Weimer's Jewelry, serving the Memphis area now for what, over 40 years? No matter what the occasion is, go by and see them first. Shop local, save a lot of money at Weimer's Jewelry. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour brought to you by Jaguar Land Rover Bluff City. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Brian Dacus.
This is pretty cool, and we're just This is pretty cool.
So you need to sell your house? I have the solution. Call 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Call my buddy Bill and I buy houses. Any house, any area, as is. It's literally as simple as that. Just pick up your phone, call 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Call my buddy Bill and I buy houses. Guaranteed to close in 5 days. If you need to sell your house fast, call Bill at 901-406-1101. That's Bill and I buy houses.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour brought to you by Jaguar Land Rover Bluff City. Here once again are Brett Norsworthy and Brian Dacus.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you in our Family Leisure Studios. We got about 30 minutes left in today's show. We got to talk about what's trending, and what's trending today is the big Thursday night football game tonight between the Cowboys and the Giants. We talked a little bit about it throughout the show. I'm wearing my Cowboys jersey, but we got to talk, break this game down a little bit. But before we do that, quick reminder, if you're out and about tonight, driving around, you don't have Prime, you can listen to tonight's game right here on Sports 56. We'll have coverage of that game starting at 7 p.m. And let me tell you about what we've got the rest of the weekend. We'll remind you again tomorrow, but Saturday, Ole Miss and Kentucky will have pregame starting at 9 a.m. for that 11 o'clock kick. We'll have full coverage pre and post for Ole Miss. Then Sunday we'll have a triple header of NFL games, and then Monday night we'll have Monday Night Football. But Brett, when you look at this game, what do you expect to see? The line kind of hanging out around 5, 6, somewhere around there. What do you expect to see tonight between two teams that are really looking for wins?
Well, I would expect the Cowboys to prevail and really be dominant material-wise, personnel-wise. They're just an extremely more talented team than this Giants team. Brian Daboll's done a good job with New York. Hadn't been great, but he hadn't had a lot to deal with. But if you need a win, isn't the perfect cure for that running into to Daniel Jones? Mm-hmm. And for just no question who's better at the quarterback position. I think Dak is that much better.
Sure.
But Micah Parsons has got to play up tonight. He hadn't had a sack the last 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. That's shocking for him. You know, people want to compare him to Lawrence Taylor. No way. I mean, I don't know if Lawrence Taylor ever won a game, much less 2 weeks in a row. Right now, Micah Parsons is just a very good player. Mm-hmm. He is not in a Lawrence Taylor league, right now he may not be in the top 2 or 3 coming off the edge in the league. He sure hadn't played for it. And that Dallas win, that opening weekend against Cleveland, that feels like forever ago, doesn't it?
Sure does. No, 100%. And that I was telling people, and I think I might have mentioned this yesterday as well. That win against Cleveland felt really good afterwards. I mean, they went into that game. They were underdogs on the road. People were thinking,
jumping on the bandwagon, our Cowboys.
Cleveland, then they go out, win big.
Ordering Walt Garrison jerseys. Who are those idiots?
Oh, man. And then since then, it's been really rough to watch, and a lot of people hopping off the bandwagon.
Chief idiot.
Well, I was going to say, I don't know if I know anybody jumping off the bandwagon. But no, it's been rough, and I think a lot of people talking this week and today leading into this game about the defense and the struggles they've had against the run. I mean, look, you faced back-to-back teams that have really good run games. New Orleans with Alvin Kamara, obviously he can cause problems. Then last week against Baltimore, not only do you have a quarterback that is very much a dual threat and has some wheels on him, but you also have Derrick Henry in that backfield. So it was 2 tough tests against running teams. I don't know if you'll get that same test to that extent with Singletary. I know Johnny Radio earlier today, one of his favorite bets was Singletary over whatever the rushing yards was for the game. So I think he could have a good game, but I think if this Dallas Cowboys defense is going to start making strides and kind of moving in the right direction, they've got to have a good night defensively. And I think you're going to see New York try to run the ball because they've seen other teams be really effective in that category.
Well, I used this number way back in my top story of the day. Devin Singletary, I like that wager for John Harden, and I'm pulling for John Harden. I always want a green check and him beating the man. But Devin Singletary around 200 yards for the year, and I mentioned it in my top story that the Giants don't have a running back at the 100-yard mark for the year.
That's crazy.
Not a 100-yard rusher in a game for the year.
Yeah.
So Daniel Jones is back there really just saying, good luck. Go get them, Dimes.
Exactly. And that's what you want. If you're the Cowboys, you want to face teams that are going to want to throw the ball around because I think they have –
tee off.
Exactly. I mean, they have a defense. They have that pass rush. They've got the secondary to make plays. And so you want to get – if you're the Cowboys, you want to get into a game where that opposing team feels like they want to throw the ball around because I think that's how you come up with an easy win. Speaking of the Cowboys' defense – Brett, I don't know if you saw this earlier, but earlier today on a radio show, Rex Ryan was a guest and said that if he was the defensive coordinator, that there would be no issues with defense. This is what he said on a radio show earlier today. I could have fixed the Cowboys' defense in a New York minute. But that being said, they couldn't pony up the money or I would have been there. How about that, Rex Ryan?
Well, I like Rex Ryan. Very, very, very confident. I wonder where he got that.
Yeah.
But Buddy, his dad was no weeping willow.
That's right.
And they both defensive gurus. That's their fortes. And I think he probably could fix it. But another thing, very much like Buddy Ryan's head coaching tenure in Philadelphia, I mean, just stunning with that defense and those offensive weapons that he had with the Eagles to win. I don't think a single playoff game, but not much. And Rex Ryan had a little more success with the Jets, but never in a Super Bowl, never won an AFC championship game, but got there.
Sure.
So being out is much like being talk radio. We can become experts.
That's right. Yes, bingo.
When we're not.
You have all that Monday morning quarterbacking, where you got
it's really easy.
All the answers after it happens, and when you're not in there, you can diagnose it. So I thought that was really funny this morning.
Like my bandwagon for Walt Garrison.
That's right. Yes, correct. Yes, very much the same. But no, I think the story of tonight's game is going to be the defense because I think obviously with
and then if the Cowboys lose,
Brett, I don't even want to think about that.
I know.
I
know you don't. I mentioned it again back to my top story way back at 3:15. Mike McCarthy. It could be his last stand. We talked some about it. I know we'll talk a lot about it, and we're not going W's and L's, not even lightly shaded pencil W's and L's for the Tiger basketball schedule, but it is completely out every date, times, and TV we know is coming. Brian, is it me, or is it taking a while to get all the college basketball released?
A really long time, and it's not just Memphis and the American. There are a lot of conferences that it's been, and I don't know what the exact reason is, but no, you're spot on. We're
35 days from the ball going in there.
I mean, this is never. I saw. I think probably a week ago, Kevin Sweeney tweeted something out to the extent of like, there are a lot of conferences in college basketball that have not put out conference schedules, and we are, certainly closer than this should be happening. And so now you're seeing the American release it today. But yeah, I mean, this is something you get, late summer, early August.
We got football for 2037.
That's right, yes. And we're now having to wait till basically, I mean, heck, Brett, practice started yesterday. I mean,
that's right.
It's
it was either Kevin or D1 Dockets that said, we get all this future football,
right. Yeah.
and we've got ACC Big 12 games that we need to know dates, times, TV networks for in 40 days.
Yeah,
it was a few days ago, I think I saw from them.
Well, what was it? I think sometime last week where Baylor and Gonzaga announced that they were going to play each other on opening night.
Yeah,
they announced an opening night game like a week ago. It's incredible.
Brian, I haven't said this yet, and I'm looking very forward to the exhibition games around the country, particularly and especially the cause for North Carolina in town to play the Tigers. I think this is a precursor to us starting college basketball maybe even a week early and maybe an expanded schedule. Right now, if you're in a multi-team event, you can play 31 regular season games. I think we're going to see that maybe increase to 33 or 34. I'm not going to have a big fit over it, but we're starting college basketball really early. Brian, a long time ago, once upon a time in a land far, 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 far away, you know when most tip-offs start of college basketball it was? And I'm talking a long time. I'm talking over 50 years ago.
I have no clue.
Either Thanksgiving weekend or that following Saturday, the first weekend of December.
Wow.
Then, and of course, it has evolved through the years to a little bit earlier, and now, starting Monday night, November 4th, and I think we're headed that. But here's my biggest takeaway on the exhibition games. We're going to have, and it's not just the Tigers, it's around the country. Arkansas did it last year with Purdue. You could run into Arkansas fan late in the year last year. Well, what's your big wins? Well, Purdue and Duke. Wait a second. One of them didn't count. One didn't count. And what we're going to get out of those is way too much or not enough.
Yes.
And by way too much, it's going to be if you win those, I think this should be factored in your resume in the committee room. No. And if you lose those by 17, that game didn't matter. That was just practice.
Yeah,
it still wasn't a good look.
Exactly. Yeah.
I don't think too much should be made or too little should be made out of those, and we writ large are going to do it.
No, absolutely are going to do it, and especially, and there's other teams in this. I know it was announced either earlier today or yesterday that the charity exhibition between Duke and Arizona State is going to be televised on ACC Network. So you're seeing a lot of these, charity exhibitions. They're starting to get picked up by television networks, and so more eyes on them. Yeah,
that's fine.
It's great, but to your point, that's going to even cause more people to want to talk about it and make observations and takeaways of we're going to be great or we're going to be terrible, and so when you're a team like Memphis or any of these other big time teams that are playing, Arkansas last year when it goes against Purdue, it's so easy. If Memphis goes out and beats North Carolina in that first exhibition, very easy to be, oh man, this team's amazing. This is, win of the year. This is a start off for the
and it should be a good sign.
It'll be a good sign, but we got to remember, at the end of the day, it's a scrimmage. It's an exhibition. The coaches are trying different things. They're doing
there
things.
Will be people calling for it. That should matter in front of the committee.
For sure, 100%. And you're absolutely right. There were a lot of Arkansas fans last year that, when things started going south, well, at the end of the day, this is the same team that beat Purdue, and
beat Zach Edey. No, you didn't.
It's a little
different.
Count. Exactly, but that's a
you
really
did,
good
but
point.
It did not count. It did not matter.
That's right. And it might have been a great environment, and looked great on the video and all of that stuff, but it did not count. But that's a really good observation by you.
A lot of Sunday games for the Tigers, and I'm worried about this aspect of it. A lot of Sunday games for the Tigers at home in January into early February when a big pull for people watching those NFL playoff games.
Yeah. I didn't even think about that, but that's it's a really good point. And it's something that you kind of it's always a challenge with college basketball, and when you kind of get to that point of the year where there's a lot of NFL, especially early in the college basketball season, there's a lot of NFL, there's a lot of college football, and basketball's trying to pick their spots when they can be on TV or get these games. And so I didn't even realize that or even think of that, but that is a good observation. A lot of Sunday games kind of in that time that you probably don't want to be going up against the NFL.
Yeah, we will go W's and L's at some point as we get a lot closer to opening night. But we know the 13 non, and now we know the dates for the 18 conference games. And I think when we get to that point, I'll say this. 8-5 North out of that 13, Jim Dandy by.
It's really good, yeah.
9-4 I don't think needs any explanation. I know 10 doesn't. 7-6, 6-7. Tell me how it was, who it was, et cetera. And then when you get to that blanket 18, I think anything south of 14-4, it would not be good. 13-5 would not be good. 12-6, not good. Above that, 15-3, 16-2. Okay. I mean, it's just hard. I think it's really hard in any league to knock somebody who would only lose 2 times in an 18-game slate.
Sure, yeah. When you're talking conference play, it's hard for a team to certainly go undefeated, but even lose a couple. So, I think anything above that, maybe 3 or 4 games would be really good for the Tigers.
It's Chevy truck season at All-Star Chevrolet and Olive Branch. Together, let's drive to All-Star. Take that first exit when you cross into Mississippi on Highway 78. That's Kraft Goodman Road, and you're there at All-Star Chevrolet and Olive Branch, where all the Chevy trucks are. That's where you are. Every new Silverado you're looking for is right there on the lot. Come down, drive a few, test drive them, and then drive off in the one that you love. Financing is low as 1.9%, no payments for 90 days. That's 0 payments for 90 days. Your good credit deserves it, and you get it at All-Star just in time for tailgating at the next big game. All-Star Chevy, they have the best tailgating Tahoes. If you're law enforcement, educator, military, healthcare worker, first responder, recent graduate, you get a $500 bonus back instantly. Come check out the huge, and I mean huge, pre-owned section they have at All-Star. Drew DePriest and the whole great team, they're there to help you out. Jeeps, Fords, Nissans, Toyotas, cargo vans, a ton of pre-owned Silverados, and if you got any vehicle you want to sell, whether you bought it at All-Star or not, bring it down, and you'll get the most money for it right there at All-Star Chevrolet. Don't miss the Chevy truck season sale right now in Olive Branch at All-Star Chevrolet. For more information, go to allstarautogroup.com.
Let's get to our final break of the day. When we come back, we'll wrap up today's show at Crunch Time.
Add a little fun to your lunch break. Join Johnny Radio for Sports 56 Happy Hour from 11 to 1 every weekday on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Wash your house, wash your office building? Impossible! Not call Wilson's Pro Wash. Your house, fence, driveway, warehouse, store, hotel, even cars and trucks can all be squeaky clean and beautiful after pressure washing by Wilson's Pro Wash. Wilson's specializes in cleaning all hard surfaces, concrete, stone, brick, and mortar, even wood and vinyl siding. Then Wilson's can seal their surfaces so they stay looking brand new. Call Wilson's Pro Wash, 901-524-6799, or online at wilsonsprowash.com.
Visit Frontier Western Store today for new shirts and boots. Frontier is your top Carhartt store in the Mid-South. There's thousands of in-stock shirts and jeans. They have the classic K87 pocket tee in every color they make, including new ones just released. Available small to 4X. Want new jeans? Frontier has you covered with super tough work denim by Carhartt. And you've got to check out their selection of Ariat jeans for men, women, and children. You'll love how easy it is to find the size and style you need. Have you seen Frontier's remodeled world-famous boot showroom? It continues to expand. New styles by Ariat just arrived, plus plenty of in-stock proven classics too. Whether you need work or dress boots, trust that Frontier's the place to come. See thousands of pairs of Ariat boots and thousands more by Dan Post, Corral, Durango, Rocky, Twisted X, and others. And Frontier's pricing is lower than online and chain stores, so you know just the local shop to visit. Frontier Western Store, 5880 Goodman Road in Olive Branch, and on the web at frontierwesternstore.com. Locally owned and operated since 1967.
It's time to get your Kia on at Gossett Kia on the bike with 41 MPG and new 2024 Kia Forte LXS $199 a month, $37.99 do it signing. 2025 Kia Sportage $269 a month, $34.99 do it signing. And 2024 Kia Telluride S $359 a month, $39.99 do it signing. And 0% for 72 months on 2024 Kia EV9 Lite available. Plus, you always get peace of mind with Kia's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. Call Bobby J. He's ready to put you in your new Kia today. That's Gossett Kia 1900 Covington Pike or online KiaCovingtonPike.com. If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars. 50 acquisition fee, $20,000 per year, 20 cents excess mileage, Forte RE794 626, MSRP 21820, Telluride RG453 666, MSRP 39835, Sportage S73 40278, MSRP 29135, includes all rebates and incentives, PF 695, includes TTNL, must finance through Hyundai with approved credit, valid through 9/30/24, dealer stock only.
Looking for an engagement ring that'll really knock her socks off? You need to be at Genesis Diamonds. It's such a privilege at Genesis Diamonds for us to work with the world's finest designers, to be able to offer brands like Tacori and Verragio, and we're excited to be able to do something like this. Genesis Vice President David Cooper, the craftsmanship, the detail, the quality, the individuality is bar none. Genesis has been selected as an exclusive provider for every top designer from to choose from. And if that's not enough, they can create something that's truly custom craft you literally anything you can imagine. You have the capabilities to realize any dream. These are the other stars we call new. We've been doing it for 5 years already. So don't settle for a read. Stay design. You deserve. I'm David Cooper, and I'm excited to see you show. It's extended.
This is pretty cool, and we're just getting started, so. This is pretty cool, and we're just getting started, so.
Spanning the globe.
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy!
This is for all the biggest crunch time.
You are looking live. In your life have you seen anything like that? Goodbye! Hello, Haskins.
It's obviously crunch time.
Hammer, nail, coffin. This baby is over.
Well, Brett, what I learned today is that Derrick Rose is calling it quits. He announced his retirement earlier today via social media. There was excerpts in the Commercial Appeal as well as some of the other local papers at places he played at, just thanking the cities and kind of saying his farewell. But we talked about it the other day that the Grizzlies were releasing Derrick Rose, and at first it just kind of read as the Grizzlies are waiving him. Later that afternoon, we learned a little bit more to the story that Derrick Rose had actually asked for his release, and so people were questioning, what's he going to do? Did he feel like he didn't have a role here and going to go try and sign somewhere else? Is he done with basketball? What's going on? Well, now we know that he is done with basketball at 35 years old. He spent 16 seasons playing professional basketball and appeared in more than 700 regular season games after leaving the University of Memphis. I'll read real quick some of what he posted on Instagram earlier this morning as his farewell. Quote, "Thank you, my first love. You believed in me through the highs and lows, my constant when everything else seemed uncertain. You showed me what true love truly meant. You turned the court into my sanctuary, a home where I could express myself freely." He went on to talk about the trials and tribulations, and then said, "You introduced me to new places and cultures that a kid from Chicago could have never imagined." So a really good, you can read the whole thing on his Instagram, but a really heartfelt thank you to just basketball in general for Derrick Rose. And I think a lot of people here locally love Derrick Rose. A lot of my friends that I grew up with. I mean, Derrick Rose was their idol when it came to basketball. As his time playing here at the University of Memphis, and then on to what he did at the NBA, and just how explosive he was with the Chicago Bulls, and then coming back to Memphis. I mean, the amount of people, my buddies, that were texting and calling me frantically when it was announced that Derrick Rose was signing with the Grizzlies last offseason. I think this city, with all of the trials and tribulations that might have come from that season and how it ended in the NCAA, this city has a deep love for Derrick Rose. And so it's sad that he's retiring, but definitely glad that we could witness it, and that he kind of started his basketball career here on a bigger level and ended it here, which is really nice to see.
And, Brian, he was can't miss according to the recruiting gurus, and he did not miss.
No,
he
not
hit
at
the
all.
center of the bullseye. No, Derrick Rose, thank you.
Yes.
We owe you the thank you. What I learned, Army up first to get to 4-0 tonight between the two academies, Army and Navy. Army trying to get to 4-0 against Temple. Navy at UAB on Saturday. If both win, it'll be the first time for both to start 4-0 since 1945. That year they met in Philly for the famous Army-Navy game. Army was 8-0. Navy was 7-0-1. The tie was to Notre Dame. This year they play at the NFL Stadium in Washington. I don't think they're going to be something in O, but it'll be a good game.
It will be a really, really good game. What I could have done without today, Brett, and I don't know if we had time to mention it yesterday, but the news came out yesterday that Lester Quinones was going to sign a two-way deal with the Philadelphia 76ers. Lester has spent the last couple of years with the Warriors in their G League on a two-way, spent some time up with Golden State, but then this offseason he was a free agent, and a lot of people were wondering what would happen with him, but we learned yesterday he would sign a two-way with the 76ers, and then it came out today that the 76ers waived former Tiger David Jones to make space for Lester Quinones' two-way. So a little Tiger-on-Tiger basketball crime on a Thursday in September. Didn't think we would get that, but love it for Lester that he is getting another opportunity in the NBA, but you do have to hate it for David Jones, who kind of is taking a risk by going to the NBA early when he still had eligibility in college, got on with the 76ers, and now looking for a new home.
He was the odd man out in this case. What I could have done without is Ryan Helsley wasting that great year for the Cardinals last night. 48 save team record for a team that was never going anywhere, and he was pretty no drama. When he came in, it was 1, 2, 3 a lot of times.
Right.
Clearly the team MVP, and the Cardinals will avoid a losing record. If that's something you want to be happy about, go ahead.
We're going to throw a party for them avoiding a losing record? Is that where we're at with the St. Louis Cardinals? It kind of feels like it. Where are you beaming tonight?
New York City, or at least the New York City suburbs, MetLife Stadium for Dak versus Dan Dimes. Doesn't feel like this one matters for the standings, but it matters for Mike McCarthy. He can't afford to be blown out and embarrassed on national TV on a Thursday night game. Maybe not even lose the game narrowly. A narrow loss may have more questions. Cowboys need to look sharp tonight.
I love the way you laid it out. They've got to look sharp tonight. I even saw some Cowboys fans on social media just tired of the way this team's been playing and tired of maybe Mike McCarthy and saying, you know what, I hope they lose tonight so that finally, maybe something will happen if they lose.
We'll watch Army at Temple tonight in college football. Dallas and the Giants right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. O's and Yankees in the Bronx. Must win for the Twinks at home against Miami. Padres and Dodgers doesn't mean quite as much as it would have if Padres had won last night, but Joe Musgrove against Walker Buehler. And for the next 5 weeks, it's baseball's time. It'll be great.
It absolutely is. It's been fun watching these series as they've come down the stretch. We talked about a lot of day baseball today on a Thursday as people, teams getting ready to travel for that final regular season series, unless you're the Mets and the Braves, of course, because then you have to play a doubleheader on Monday. But we do have those 3 games tonight, which will be fun. And like you said, for the Twins, a big-time game against the Marlins. So should be a lot of fun tonight. But that's all the time we have. Enjoy your night. We'll talk to you again tomorrow afternoon.